additional.
You can
Have to
watch
watch
it
on YouTube.
Yeah.
I thought it was very well done. The first episode, a lot of off season. They were at Moose Younghan's house. Then they had a sale at Moose's retail outlet.
What night is it supposed to be on then? Or is it going to vary?
It's going to vary. I think it might be tonight.
After the
I think
Wild
the second episode might be tonight. Last week it was Friday. Where was I Friday? I was in Fergus. I came home from Fergus and I watched it. Specifically to see if Little Falls game made it. There's a teaser clip with a check down on that end of the ring for next week.
Oh, so that was the check that didn't call the penalty?
No, it was just a...
Oh, okay.
No, that wasn't that. Oh, right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was...
that wasn't me that had the outburst.
Yeah, that was me.
That'll be featured on Dream State.
Could be.
Speaking of the Wild, how about the Zucker trade?
I wasn't surprised. They tried to trade him before. They wanted the draft pick.
And the defenseman, the prospect,
It's
can't think
kind
of
of
his
a
name.
throw-in.
Yeah, but he's 19 years old.
Galchenyuk was a very promising prospect for Montreal.
4 teams in 4 years now, or something like that. Yeah.
Well, maybe the new zip code will help him out.
Yeah, that's true.
And the new coach when Bruce Boudreau doesn't survive.
Which is unfortunate because
That's the way it is in the NHL, though.
I mean,
Look at Gerard Gallant. I'd like to see him hire Gerard Gallant. I can't believe he got fired in Las Vegas.
You guys ready?
Sure.
And a very good evening, hockey fans, and welcome to the Exchange Arena in Little Falls, where it is boys high school hockey tonight here on Flyer Media Productions, channel 181, and also streaming online on YouTube. Hello, everyone. James Hershey with you, joined in the booth tonight with, once again, Jamie Pettit, and we have a guest announcer in the house tonight, that being the former alum from the Little Falls Flyers, and also former assistant coach, that being Chris Dobis. Thanks so much for joining us, guys, and tonight, it's Detroit Lakes taking on the Little Falls Flyers. The Flyers come in with a record of 18-5-1. They are ranked 10th in the state. Detroit Lakes is 13-9-2 coming into tonight's game.
Well, Little Falls beat Sauk Rapids on Friday night 8-0. It was a nice bounce-back win for the Flyers, considering they didn't play well in the 4-0 loss to Alexandria a week ago Tuesday night. Coach Kuchar was not happy after the game. It was a game that the Flyers needed to win if they had a chance to get a top 2 seed within Section 6A. Didn't go their way. They came back and they took it to Sauk Rapids 8-0. Ryan Buckaloo had 2 goals, 2 assists for 4 points. And it was interesting because the night before Little Falls beat Sauk Rapids, River Lakes played Sauk Rapids, and that game went to overtime. So for Little Falls, they made a statement. They knew that they were going to be in a battle with River Lakes for that 3 seed, and that really helped their position.
Yeah, I was at the first 2 periods of the Sauk Rapids game, and I just thought that the puck movement from Little Falls was spot on that night. I thought the neutral zone play was really good, and I talked to Coach Wesley before the game, and he said they were hoping to put a number up, and they did. So
Coming into tonight's game, both of these teams already know where they're seated, so it's kind of a meaningless game when it comes to seeding and any of that, but it's still an important game because you want to go in with some momentum into the playoffs.
Well, Detroit Lakes, I don't think they're overly excited tonight. The Section 8A seedings came out earlier today. They have a face-to-face meeting. Unlike Section 6A, we can talk about that between the second and third period, but Detroit Lakes got the 5th seed behind Kitson Central, and Detroit Lakes and Kitson Central played twice this year. Detroit Lakes won the second meeting. So the Lakers get 5, Kitson Central gets 4, which means Detroit Lakes is going to Hallock for the first round of the 8A playoffs for Little Falls. They have the home game on Tuesday night against the Sartell Sabres. And Chris, I think it's fair to say that you want to have the tune-up tonight. You want to get the line combinations where you need them, and you don't want anyone to get hurt.
yeah, it's kind of like in the NFL, right, where a team has a first-round bye or something, and you have a Week 17 game that you have to play.
Yep.
And you try and figure out how do you want to play it. But I think it'll be interesting to see how Little Falls comes out tonight. I think yesterday when the announcement came that there was going to be no school, I think the players probably thought they weren't going to play today. And then earlier this morning, it was announced that the game was going to be on. So I'm curious to see how they come out right from the start. You know, it's senior night, and you're trying to fine-tune things to get ready for Tuesday night. You're not looking beyond tonight, but you are certainly working on things that you're going to implement in the game on Tuesday night.
You mentioned, Chris, it is senior night. Lots of things going on. The Ice Mites are going to skate in the first intermission. There's a raffle drawing going on tonight. There's all sorts of things. A very festive night here tonight to wrap up the regular season. But you have to look at it, too, as you need to get ready for the playoffs. That's staring them right in the face starting next Tuesday.
Yeah, and, you know, I think this team is ready for the playoffs. I think they want the playoffs to be here. I know Tony does. You know, the last 3 years in the quarterfinals haven't been the best, and you build for the end of the year, and it's a clean slate for every team, and every team has a chance, and that's what's exciting about it. But again, like I said, you don't want to look beyond a game that's played tonight.
You mentioned Tony Kuchar. We're going to get a chance to talk with him right now and get his comments about this game tonight. Welcome back to the pregame show. Once again, I'm joined with the head hockey coach of the Little Falls Flyers, that being Tony Kuchar. Tonight, the final game of the regular season against the Detroit Lakes Lakers. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Let's recap the last couple of games. The loss at Alexandria and then the bounce-back win here against Sauk Rapids. Your comments about those games?
Well, we can start off by the Alexandria game. You know, probably at the time biggest game of the year for us. Possibility to get to the second seed. I thought we we struggled. We supposedly outshot them. At least that's what they tell us. But it just didn't seem like we had anything. You know, and it was very frustrating for me. To see that as a coach. I thought for sure that we'd come out and be flying and make a game of it, and we just could never get it going. It just seemed like it was just one thing after another with us, whether it's just personnel not playing hard enough, just malfunctioning some of our system stuff. But you know what? It is what it is. You go there and you got high school kids and you try to do your best that you can, and I just didn't think we played as well as we could have. That being said, I thought Alex had some jump. I thought they played hard and they gave us a lot of fits in a lot of areas. But I thought their goalie played well also. You know, we did get 30-plus shots on them, but you know, they weren't great quality shots. They were from perimeter, but we had some other kids in the lineup. Tyler Brickey had some playing time, and Nolan Bjorgi came back from his injury. We mixed some lines up, and we ended up staying with those lines that we had, or some sort of new arrangement. So. But you know, when it was all said and done, it was a 4-0 loss for us. Very disappointing as a coach standpoint. But you know, you move on and you try to make a positive and an example of, you know, if you don't show up and you don't really want to work hard, then you know it's just not going to happen. And it was hard for me to believe that everybody on our team was just down and out, and I'm not really sure why, but that's just the way it went. And we did bounce back in considerable fashion against Sauk Rapids. I know they had some kids, their third line was out. They only played 2 lines. They've had a struggle for the season. But they had some big wins. I mean, they beat Sartell, and Sartell outshot them, but still beat them, and we pretty much handled them. We only allowed 6 shots, so I thought our passing was good. I thought our enthusiasm and our urgency was there, and I thought it was a great game for us to go. And now we have tonight. You know, we're I don't know how long it's been, 70 days or 6 days since Friday. So it's almost been a week since we played. So we'll see how it goes. But I thought you know, the last the two games, the Alex game and the Sauk Rapids game, both learning experiences and trying to get ready for the end of the season.
One big question mark was going to be after the Alex game, where that would put you in the seeds for the section. Those came out yesterday, and that game did not hurt you as you came up with the 3 seed.
Yeah, it could have helped us, but it like you said, it turned out that it didn't hurt us. We did lose to River Lakes, so that was going to be a question mark if it was going to be if we were going to be 3 or 4. I think it came down to that they had some losses to Sartell and maybe to Morris Benson, and we did not. We don't play Morris Benson, but we beat Sartell and beat some other quality teams that maybe River Lakes didn't beat, common opponents, but when it's all said and done, I knew we were going to either play River Lakes, Fergus, or Sartell, and all 3 teams are very good teams. I mean, even as Sartell is a 6 seed who we play, they came to our building, outshot us. I think Dane had 7 breakaway stops. It was a defensive mess for us, but we ended up finding a way to win, which was the way we played all year in those games. We've found ways to win 1-goal games or 2-goal games and hold them off at the end. So it's going to be a battle on Tuesday against Sartell.
Yeah, of course, anybody in this section has a chance to do something. And, of course, I think a lot of teams were vying for that 2 or 3 seed because they wanted to avoid Cathedral as much as possible until the end. Absolutely.
They're a very good quality team. Meanwhile, when we lose to Alexandria, they beat a very good team. I mean, they have had some injuries and stuff coming down the stretch here. But they'll be back and with full strength before you know it. But they're a very good quality team. I mean, they're beating the AA teams in the higher end single A teams. I think they only got a couple losses now. So, but they beat Wayzata 7-6. So that was a good win for them. And they're just a very good team, and it's going to take a lot to have a team beat them in our section. But like you said, we don't want to see them. Anybody doesn't want to see them in the semis. And right now, our main goal at the beginning of the year, and I told the kids, is to win 1 game. We need to win the quarterfinal game. We need to get to St. Cloud to see what it's all about in the Final Four, and that's our main focus. Obviously, our main focus tonight is Detroit Lakes, and then from there, just trying to get ready and prepared for Sartell and give them a good game.
All right, we'll talk about the Lakers in just a moment, but let's honor the seniors tonight. It is senior night, and I know you have 6 seniors on the roster. Also, you have a student manager and a couple stat girls, I believe, too. Let's talk about them just for briefly a second or so.
Yeah, well, I'll try to go in a numerical order if I can remember them, but number 4, Ryan Buckaloo, just a great success story with Ryan. I mean, he was a JV player last year that we tried to give some opportunities to, just didn't felt like he was ready. And boy, was he ready this year. I think he leads our team in goals, or right there with everybody. I think he's got 39 points right now. Just a real success story. Nolan Bjorgi also plays on our third line. Just a scrappy kid. He's been there. And last year towards the end of the year, just with his hard work and everything, won that spot. He stayed there ever since, and the reason why he stayed there is just because that he works so hard, and he's had some big goals for us this year, and Nolan Bjorgi, a great kid, and all great kids coming up. Our next kid would probably be Mark Vetter, who has mostly just been a JV player, but a great kid, works hard every day. It takes a real unique kid to be a senior and to play JV and not have that opportunity to play varsity too often. We got him in the lineup tonight against Detroit Lakes, and like I said, very nice kid, works hard, great teammate, great locker room guy. Is Mark Vetter. So 28, Mason Doble, who has been there for a couple years now on our third line. And he's the type of kid that he's just a role kid. He works extremely hard. He's physical. He gets his goals every once in a while. But he makes that third line up. Him and Nolan Bjorgi has worked very well together over the course of the last year and a half. And we appreciate all the hard work that he's put in. He was one of the kids that made it to every one of our summer events. Just works hard to try to get better, and that's what he's did. 29, Reese Hubbard. who has pretty much been our go-to guy this year. When Reese plays well and is moving the puck, and our team plays a heck of a lot more. If you go back and look at some of the games where he struggled a little bit with passing, or he just didn't have that that night, we struggled. The games that he was on and was he's a playmaker. He makes things happen. And Reese is, if you look at it, he's probably one of our most valuable players that we had on our team this year. Threw in every game. Reese has been there. He's played very well for us. He's got boatload of points in the 30s, I think. He's kind of our go-to guy. Him and Joey Majorly log, 75% of the time on the ice. So he's done a nice job. Adam Funk, who's been our first Piers guy in a long time. We had I think his name, I don't know how long ago, but Tyler New was probably our last Piers guy, and he actually transferred to Little Falls. And then Bubba was able to be a state champion in football and stay in Piers. We've kind of co-opted with him. So, and he's a kid that had a great success story. We basically pulled him out of old timers Sunday night games. It said he wanted to play. When the kids told me Bubba Funk, I was thinking somebody else it wasn't going to look like Bubba Funk looks like. I thought it was going to, I'm not sure what I was going to, but I didn't necessarily think he was going to be the long-haired boy that showed up that wanted to play goalie. So, but he's been a tremendous asset to our program, and hopefully down the road he'll be that person to get some more Piers kids in our program. But again, he's logged a little bit of ice time on our varsity. Mostly JV. He always starts kind of late because of the football. He goes all so. But great kid. Comes to our summer stuff and when he can, and he's got a job, and just a nice kid. And we appreciate that he decided that he wanted to play hockey. And because again, when somebody says they want to play hockey, I say, okay, let me see you skate. Well, this time I had to say, let me see you stop the puck, and that's even harder. So he did a great job, and is our backup goalie.
Awesome. And of course, you have Max Dempsey too, your student manager, and a couple Stat girls. Yeah,
Max Dempsey was a player up until a certain point and took a career-ending injury, and does a nice job around here. He's done does all the washing, all the readiness for all the kids. Fixes things, tape sticks, you name it. Max does it, and he does it well. So he's done a very nice job over the course of the last 2 years that he was able to be a manager, and the year that he played, he did a nice job as a player. So, and then we have two student managers, Ava Philippi, who started in the mix of last year halfway through, and does a nice job. All of our Stat girls are here all the time. They just mostly come to our game, but they got to come to our road games and everything like that. So Katie Card is our other senior manager, has been here for a couple of years, and she's just done a fantastic job. It's a thankless job trying to do all of our stats and get them right, and they eat a lot of candy. I feed them lots of candy, so they do a nice job. They get a lot of snacks, and they have a fun time. They got a great sense of humor, again, it's a thankless job. I mean, when things aren't going right in the team, and kids think that they have more hits than they do, I'm sure they express their disappointment to the girls, but I think they're tough enough to respond to those boys and give it back to them. So they've all done a nice job, all our seniors, and I wish them the best of luck in the future.
All right, let's talk about the game tonight and keys to the game against the Lakers from Detroit Lakes.
Well, I think our speed needs to be there tonight. I think if anything, when I watched them on tape, I think that we have a little better speed than they do, but it's very hard to watch them on tape. I know they've won 7 out of their last 8 games. They're the 5th seed out of Section 8. A up north. They were battling with, I think, a Kitson Central, who was going to be 5-4. They ended up beating the Kitson Central at the end of the year and split with them, and it wasn't enough to get the home seed on the 4th. First-year coach has done a nice job. He's been around the program for a while now when he was a Laker himself. Very good player. And then took over the job this year, and they've had some revolving door a little bit with their coaching staff. So hopefully they can get their staff to stay. And I know that he's put a lot of work into the summer program in Detroit Lake. So I think they'll do a nice job tonight. But I think speed will be one factor. I think just that first period, we didn't have school today. So you never know how that's going to affect the kids. Did they lay around all day? What did they do? So the first period, I think we need to transition with speed. And I think just suck it all in. The end of the year here, have some fun. Our last home game for the seniors, and our last game of the regular season before it's the real deal. So I think having fun is very important tonight also.
All right, Coach, good luck tonight. We'll talk to you after the game.
Thanks, James. I appreciate it.
Once again, that is the head coach of the Little Falls Flyers. That is Tony Kuchar. And thanks to head coach Tony Kuchar for that interview. And got an opportunity to talk about the seniors, of course, playing in their final regular season game. And it won't be their last game here at the Exchange Arena, as we talked about in our pregame show, as they will have a game coming up on Tuesday against the Sartell Sabres.
What was it like for you when you got down to the end of your career and you knew that you didn't have many home games left?
Yeah, it's to be honest with you, I'll never forget it. Our last game, we ended up losing at home in the playoffs, but I remember that day at school, one of my classmates, John Schmea, said to me, we could be done tonight, and it happened. You never want it to end, and as a coach, you can continue to tell the players, it's coming. But as a player and sitting there, you don't realize that until it's actually over. And then, when I was coaching, you try and say that same thing to them, and you try and get that through to the kids. And it's hard and it's tough, because most kids that are going to play tonight and then, see how playoffs go, they will never play organized hockey again. Some will move on and play more hockey, but it's hard to swallow that.
So we got to ask, on your senior night, did you win your game?
I don't remember.
We'll have to get Jamie he'll have to get the old book out here to check that out. So
yeah, I don't.
First, Jamie's got to wonder what was his senior year. That would have been the 2000, 2001. Is that correct? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we lost to Wadena in the playoffs. But to be honest with you, we played them like the week before or 2 weeks before that game. That might have been our last home game.
Second to last home game.
Okay. Yeah.
The last home game was on February 13th of 2001. It was an 8-1 loss to Alexandria.
Oh, yeah, so I don't remember
last regular season. Of course you would. Why would you remember that?
Well, you never know. Maybe you decided not to have the senior night that night. It could have been the night before or the game before. You just never know.
Yeah.
It's kind of like homecoming, right? You want to look at the schedule and see maybe what's the game you can win.
Yeah, it's different, then the Central Lakes Conference, which, we played all of those teams twice. Wilmer was good back then. You had St. Cloud Tech and Apollo that had their own teams that were AA teams. You had Alexandria, you had Brainerd. Our schedule was just centrally located. It was tough. But yeah, I had a good 4 years, and every day that I'm here at this rink, I remember those days. So,
120 points, and we kind of jokingly before the game started, he said, well, I only played 15-minute periods. So we figured it all out after. If you'd have played a full, the way they're playing now, you might have had another 15 points added on to that.
Yeah. So. You know what? I'll tell you what. I'd trade every single one of those points away to have one state tournament appearance.
Absolutely.
As a player, I was fortunate enough to experience the state tournament 1 year as a coach, and there's nothing better than that experience.
All right, let's go downstairs to Kevin Sawada with our starting lineups tonight.
Forward, number 16, Drew Schwann. Forward, number 11, Alex Bren. In center, number 4, Jordan Fields. Head coach of the Lakers is Ben Noah. And now, for the Little Falls Flyers, tonight in goal, number 35, Dane Kuchar. Defensive number 7, Joey Majurley. Defensive number 29, Reese Hubbard. Forward number 9, Gabe Hirsch. Forward number 33, Nicholas Stevens. And center number 15, Gunnar Gustafson. Head coach of the Flyers is Mr. Tony Kuchar in his 27th year with the
That's a look at the starting lineups for both teams. We'll get the starting goaltenders coming up here in just a moment, but now it's time for our national anthem. And the playing of our national anthem is we are just about ready to get this one underway. And once again, as we always start out the broadcast, let's get our starting goaltenders. And here's Jamie Pettit.
Well, for the Detroit Lakes Lakers, they're from Section 8. They're 13-9-2. They'll start the junior in goal, number 35, Jack Hines. He's played 560 minutes. He's got a 6-5-1 overall record, save percentage of 92.2%, goals against average of 2.5, and he has one shutout. For the 18-5-1 Little Falls Flyers, it's Dane Kuchar. He's 18-5-1. He's played 1,183 minutes, a 2.1 goals against average, save percentage of 90.5%. And on Friday night in the 8-0 win over the Sauk Rapids Storm, Dane Kuchar collected his 4th shutout of the season. Jack Hines, he's a big goaltender for the Detroit Lakes Lakers, 6'4", 195 pounds. Dane Kuchar in the Little Falls Flyers net, 6 foot, 180 pounds.
And as always, final tokens of information here.
Well,
Mr.
it's
Pettit?
the 26th year since the Class A, Class AA split. There's only been 3 teams that have won championships in Section 8A in those 26 years. Warroad has 12, East Grand Forks with 9, Thief River Falls with 5. Those 3 teams have had a monopoly in Section 8. It's amazing. Over 26 years, only 3 teams have won championships.
All right, we're underway with high school hockey tonight here on Flyer Media Productions, and the first shot by Fields and the save made by Kuchar as it comes out to center ice. First shot the other way, and that going off the pad that time of the netminder Hines. Cleared out to center ice, picked up here by Little Falls at their own blue line. Majurley's pass intercepted there, now touched briefly there by Stevens. He'll come across the line on the left wing. Going to the corner, loses the puck there, and Wimmer will send it around the boards. And it'll come back out to center ice. Picked up there by Majurley. Passes over on the left side to Hubbard. Back to Majurley. Touch now here by Gustafson. Comes across the line. Fires it around the boards. Who's going to get there first? It's actually going to be Philippi as Matt Philippi touched it on the half wall for a short time. Goes into the corner now. Picked up there and played into the corner there by Hirsch. Behind the net, this is Buckaloo now. Buckaloo on the right wing, tries to center a pass. It's knocked down over there by the Lakers, and that being Burnside. Can't clear it out of the zone yet, and now Detroit Lakes flips it out to center ice. Moved ahead now this time by McAllister. Down into the Flyers end. We've played a minute of hockey so far here, no score. Trying to keep it in at the right point that time. That's Burnside, plays it in deeper. Majurley now sends it around the boards, gets it on the tape briefly there of Johnson. Hayden Johnson now moves it ahead, just underneath us here. And it'll be played back in once again by the Lakers. And Joe Majurley goes back to pick up the loose puck. Here's Majurley now. Outlet pass on the left wing side, caught there by Philippi. And that goes off the tape there and back by the Lakers as they dump it back down into the Flyer zone. 15-15 to go in the first, still no score. This is Marshall Inez, who got his first varsity goal last Friday in that 8-0 win against Sauk Rapids. Now another attempt, this time by Moore out to center ice. Moved ahead there on the left side. That's Kaczynski-Helgeson. And the Lakers will flip it back out to neutral ice. Flyers have to touch up, otherwise it'd have been offside, and the Lakers will get it out to neutral. Picked up here by Inez at his own blue line, played back now over to Hubbard. Hubbard now will slide it into the middle area, intercepted there by the Lakers. And then controlled once again here, well, by the Lakers as they dump it in. That's Fields. He'll send it all the way down. It'll go off the end wall. Dane will come out, try to leave it off there for Hubbard. Hubbard picks up the loose puck now, spins out of the way, lost the puck there to Fields now. Fields centers a pass, back to the left point it comes. Kovash sends it into the corner, intercepted here now by Hubbard. He'll play it over now on the near side, trying to clear it out of the zone, and at least the Flyers do. Dump back in by the Lakers, picked back up by Hubbard. Now moved ahead, coming across the line this time, and that was Doble as he was trying to weave his way through the defense, unable to do so, and back the other way now come the Lakers. Out at center ice, this is Bren with it. He got dumped right at the Flyer line. Back the other way comes Little Falls.
Shaken up.
And Bren is shaken up, as you mentioned. The officials, I think, are going to let him play here on as he is struggling to get to the bench. And Alex Bren, he's one of the top scorers here for the Lakers with 31 points. Play comes out to center ice, back down once again into the Flyers zone. We've yet to have a whistle, and here's a quick shot there, and getting a piece of that one was Kuchar, as he just barely got a piece of that as Hunter Burnside was looking for goal number 4 of the year. Back out to center it comes, dump back in once again down to the Flyer zone. Majurley picks up the puck first. He'll pass it over to Hirsch. Rink wide pass touched there by Stevens. Gets it across the Laker line. The Lakers play it back out to neutral. The late offside coming up, but it wasn't touched by the Flyers. The Flyers back in their own end. This is Moore with it. Touched up there to Hirsch, intercepted there by the Lakers at center ice. That was Bergman. Then he lost it there to George Moore. Moore now going into the corner with it. Try to center a pass. Knocked down there by the skate there of Bergman on the end wall. Buckaloo able to keep it in and play it a little deeper. Now comes back to the left point. Pitchforked into the corner that time there by Moore. Behind the netminder, Hines is where the play is right now. Comes to the right point, trying to take a shot towards the net is Colton Johnson. That was knocked down. Behind the net, it's played now and controlled here by Grosso, and Grosso will send it all the way the length of the ice. I think we're going to get our first whistle of the game. With 12:36 to go in the first, you guys can talk for a while.
I'll give the line chart for the Little Falls Flyers. It's Gunnar Gustafson centering Nick Stevens and Gabe Hirsch. Ryan Buckaloo centers Matt Philippi and Hayden Johnson. Nolan Bjorgi's the third line center. Mason Doble on the left and Robbie Kaczynski-Helgeson on the right. 6 defensemen tonight for the Flyers. Reese Hubbard, Joe Majurley, George Moore, Marshall Inez, Colton Johnson, and Tower Morrison, with Dane Kuchar starting in goal. And Alex Bren is the leading scorer for the Detroit Lakes Lakers, and he is struggling right now on the Laker bench. I'm not surprised if Trent the trainer's not making his way over now to the Laker bench.
Got an interference call right off the draw here, Chris.
Yeah, I think more than anything it was maybe a little bit of a pick. You know, this is interesting. So we're, almost 5 minutes into the game. You know, Little Falls has been struggling to beat that forecheck at Detroit Lakes, and now they're on the penalty kill. We'll see what happens in the next 2 minutes here.
Interference call goes to Robbie Kaczynski-Helgeson. He's in the box for the 2 minutes. And as you mentioned, the first power play of the night for either team. Detroit Lakes on the power play, just a little over 20%, 16 of 79 on the other side. The Flyers on the penalty kill, 85.2%, 69 of 81. And the Flyers have scored 4 shorthanded goals this year, but it's been a while since they've scored a shorthanded goal.
Well, Jackson Fields is on this Detroit Lakes Laker power play. He's a big, intimidating force. They may try to move him to the front of the net. Lakers get the first power play of the evening in a scoreless first period. Fields has 4 of the Lakers' 16 power play goals this year.
Here we go now on the power play, first time tonight for Detroit Lakes. There's a quick shot that's fired wide there by Wimmer. Unable to keep it in. At the left point is Bren. Good to see he's back out there once again as he was shaken up about a couple minutes ago. Back at their own blue line. This was touched there by Benson. Way back now here on the tape of Wimmer. Back to Benson, nearly intercepted there by Hirsch, picked up by Stevens, and Hirsch will dump it in. 12 minutes to go. You're in the first. Still a minute 25 to go here on the power play for the Lakers. And guys, both teams right now really haven't possessed the puck in the offensive zone much here in the opening 5+ minutes.
Well, Coach Dobis is big on special teams, so I'm sure he likes what the Flyers have done here shorthanded.
I'm a little bit surprised to see all 5 of the Detroit Lakes players down in the D zone on their breakout. Now it looks like they're going to stretch it a little bit here. But a lot of good pressure going on with Gabe and Nick right now.
Here's Gabe going to the center, right in front of the netminder Hines, but it just slipped off the tape at the last second there as he was coming through the blue paint. And the Lakers will flip it out to center ice. Just 45 seconds still in the power play, and guys, they have yet to get anything going whatsoever even to simulate a power play.
You know, and sometimes a good penalty kill is a huge momentum boost. So we'll see here if they can get through the next 30 seconds, and this could be a momentum shift for Little Falls, and maybe they can get something going.
Cleared the length of the ice by Majorly, picked up behind the net. And they'll start the charge on. Cross-ice pass, dumped in here by the Lakers. Who's going to get there first? Majorly's going to play it away from the charging Bainey there. Bainey now has it in the corner. No-look pass comes out in the slot, but it'll be Gunnar Gustafson sent it to length of the ice. And the final 5 seconds here of the penalty are going to run off. And a good first kill looks like here for the Flyers as it's going to be ice. No, they'll say no icing as the penalty time has expired. 10:30 to go in the first. Shots are even on the board at 2 apiece. Hasn't been many shots so far in this one. Here's Kaczynski Helgeson, just came out of the penalty box. Sends that one wide to the netminder's right. Hines looks over there. Trying to pick up that loose puck now is one of the captains, and that being the senior, Nolan Bjorgi. Trying to flip it out to center that time, and here's a shot by Bjorgi on net. Save is made, and right on the doorstep there was Kaczynski Helgeson.
Lakers failed to clear the zone, and Bjorgi was opportunistic, picking up the puck, rifling a shot from the high slot that was on, and Hines made the save. Going back to the penalty kill, I like Hirsch and Stevens together on that penalty kill unit for the Flyers.
Yeah, I agree. You know, Nicholas is always around the puck, and he never stops. And Gabe is, in my years of coaching, Gabe is one of the smartest players I've coached. He just knows the position very well. He knows where to be. He anticipates the play.
Benson trying to clear it out to center ice here for the Lakers, but it's Buckaloo keeping it down. Jamie mentioned about those lines today. There has been a little bit of shakeup of the lines, as we've seen for the most part this year. Tony Kuchar has run the same lines, but he wants to throw a little wrinkle in right now to see if maybe they can spark some more offense, I guess.
Don't be surprised if there's some shuffling of the lines in that latter section of this game either.
Yeah, I could see that. Here's Buckaloo with a quick shot, and Hines, as you mentioned, that big 6'4" frame comes up big there with the save. And it's played the length of the ice. And what can you say about Ryan Buckaloo? 20 goals this year. I mean, coming out of nowhere this year, and how many goals he's had.
Yeah, you know, he's kind of, I'll compare it to basketball a little bit. You know, he's a shooter, and if you can get him the puck in open space, he's going to bury it. You always knew he can score goals. It was just putting the other pieces of his game together, and he's had a very successful senior season.
Played up to the line, not out yet here by the Lakers. Down low, tipped there by Stevens. Rebound, and a good job by Hines to slide over and cover up and make sure that puck stayed in his possession. Otherwise, if not, Nick Stevens would have had goal number 18 on the year.
Well, Stevens lurking around the front of that net. The shot came in from just inside the blue line. Stevens was there creating a disturbance in front of the goaltender, and Hines had to make one of his better saves of the first period.
You got to believe that's one thing that head coach Tony Kuchar is telling these kids. You need to get in front of the netminder. You need to get in that, as they call it, the dirty zone. And we haven't seen that a lot as of late, and I think they're trying to work on that. We've seen a couple plays now, even with Kaczynski Helgeson out there, even with, I think it was Bjorgi that was in there once. The guys are kind of playing in front of the net a little bit.
Yeah, you know, we talked earlier pregame about getting prepared for the playoffs, and not too many times in playoff hockey do you see clean goals being scored. You know, it's kind of those scraps around the net and some deflections, some tip-ins, and things like that. So there's definitely an emphasis on that tonight.
Shots favor Little Falls 6-3 as we approach the halfway point of the first period. The Flyers come with their third line, centered by Nolan Bjorgi. Kaczynski Helgeson, Mason Doble are his wings tonight.
Here's a chance down low that time, trying to slide it through the slot there.
And a penalty
slide
on
over to
DL.
Brandon, yeah. Going to have our first penalty against the Lakers once they touch it here. Bjorgi gets it up to Dobel. Dobel comes across the line, trying to get it back to Kaczynski-Helgeson, but stepping in there was Fields. And then Fields slashed Kaczynski-Helgeson. And then we get a couple players that collide, and that was Bjorgi and also the penalty player, that being Alex Brenn, as he's going to the box 2 minutes for hooking.
Alex Brenn was furious when he saw the official's hand go up. Not at all happy. A shepherd's hook on Brenn at 8:45 of the first period. Flyers will go to the power play for the first time tonight. 30 power play goals this season. And unfortunately for Mr. Dobis, as he's part of the broadcast crew tonight, if we were on the radio, he'd be home trying to call in if the Flyers scored on the power play.
Yeah, we've only won one pizza this year. It's not like we've got... I do remember the year I took off when Hadley, our daughter Hadley, was born. I think you guys had to come up with a rule because I think
you look a little thin this year, doesn't he, Jamie? It looks a little thin. You could have ate one pizza.
We would call in and give my wife's name and then my daughter's name and my mom and dad's name.
Good thing you didn't have a dog. I've been caught on that one. 1:35 to go here on the power play and see if the Flyers can get something going. Still no score in this one in period number one. Gunnar Gustafsson, he'll be in the corner. Got tripped up there by Kovash. Now picking the puck back up, that is, once again, is Gustafsson. He'll play it over on the right side as this Hubbard goes off the back skate that time of Hirsch. Goes off the back of Stevens and comes back down into the Flyers zone. 1:10 to go here on the power play. Intercepted here this time by Jackson Fields. Jackson goes into the corner, trying to be bumped off the play there by Majorly. Fields doing a great job of forechecking and killing off some time right now here as he plays it now in deeper once again. Gets some help there from another teammate. And going behind the net here with about 48 seconds to go on the power play is Majorly. Gets it over to Hubbard. Rink-wide pass knocked down there by Fields once again. Out controlled here by Hayden Johnson. Johnson left circle. He gets to the left dot, goes to the corner. Bumped off the play there. Picked up here now by Buckaloo. His shot down low. Save made there by Hines. And he holds on, and then we get a little shoving after the whistle.
You enjoy coaching the power play when you were part of Tony Kucher's staff. You enjoy dissecting those power play opportunities.
Yeah, I think my favorite part of coaching in any sport that I've ever, whether it was tennis or it was golf or it was hockey, is I always tried to look for spots where you could gain an advantage on a team or on an opponent. I enjoyed breaking down film and trying to find different ways, and a power play situation or a penalty kill is very strategic, you know. How can you beat the opposition? So I did enjoy that.
You know, looking at their numbers this year, they're at 30%. That's pretty good. It hasn't been that way for many years. And what's the reason this year it's been so good, you think?
Well, you know, it starts, you need good defensemen, you know, to have a good power play. You need kids that can make tape-to-tape passes. I remember when Jared Fessler would help us out, too. You know, he said back in his Husky days, if you missed a pass in practice, you were off the power play. And you'll notice here, the second part of this power play now,
what a save, by the way. I didn't just interrupt you there for a second, but Hines just robbed Kaczynski-Helgeson, and I'm sure we're going to get a replay of that one coming up here in just a moment.
But this second half of this power play here, now it's over, but they made some better passes, so obviously you get more chances. You know, that puck can move faster than any player can on the ice, and that can open some things up. So you always look for that support, and you look for that communication throughout the ice on the power play.
6:07 to go is the best save of the night, once again by Jack Hines there, as he robbed Kaczynski-Helgeson of a goal. I don't know if it would have been a power play goal, but it would have been a goal.
Best opportunity of the night so far.
Absolutely. 5:55 to go here in the first. Shots are 8-3 in favor of the Flyers, but as you can see on the television tonight, we are scoreless so far. Still played down to the Flyers zone, now controlled here by Stevens, and he'll play it out to center ice. Dumped back in once again here by the Lakers. Majorly now being shadowed there by Solberg. Fanning on the outlet attempt that time was Hubbard. Gets it back now to Majorly. Intercepted, however, at the line. Here's a chance down low for Brenn. Sends this pass through, and a good job there by Kucher to make sure it does not go through the blue paint, because right on the doorstep was Jordan Fields. He was looking for that biscuit.
Alex Brennan is the leading scorer for the Lakers. He's got 31 points. He's had a busy period. He got banged up, slow to get back to the Lakers bench. Then he took a penalty, a good scoring chance for Brennan on that sequence for the Detroit Lakers. He's on their second line. He's the left wing on the second line, but he's been involved in this first period.
You know, the one thing, too, you guys know about Detroit Laker hockey is they play in Section 8A, and that's a physical section. You're noticing some physical play out of them right now here, too. And once they get into the section play, it's bang, bang, bang all night long in 8A hockey.
And Coach Kuchar always tells us he wants his Flyers to play with more physicality.
And as you mentioned, an elbow call coming up, or maybe a rough call. Let's see what they call, but regardless, it's going against the Lakers. So the second power play of the night. You can play physical, but you got to play within the rules.
Yeah, you know, you always want to try and be as physical as you possibly can, but you want to keep that behind-the-scenes stuff out of the game. And it'll be interesting to see as the game wears on if their intensity, I mean, DL's done a great job of forechecking, and we're having a tough time with that. It'll be interesting to see if their intensity stays throughout this game or if it slows a little bit.
Drew Schwann, 2-minute minor for roughing at 12:07 of the first period. It's a Flyer power play, second of the game.
0 for 1 on the power play so far. Here's Gustafson, fires a shot, hit traffic in front, gets it right back. Save made by Hines, and the Lakers are able to clear it out of the zone.
Reese Hubbard dropped down there a little bit, and he's looking for that seam from that far side wall, and we'll see if they can hit that. They're covering the middle guy very well in the slot.
Reese is a defenseman, but he kind of plays like a forward, doesn't he?
Yeah, he certainly does. And, you know, every solid Little Falls team throughout the years has had one of those types of defensemen. You know, the 2012 team that went to the state tournament, Spencer Fensky was that guy. Matt Stumpf was more of the Joey Majurli is right now. You know, the Hanowski years when you had Isaac Berglund, you know,
yep.
He was the one that would rush that puck.
Collis was the guy that would save his bacon.
Yep.
Absolutely. Offsides call there on the Flyers. Still on the power play here for another minute 20. 4:12 to go in the first. Still scoreless here in period number 1. Picked up here by Hubbard and his own blue line. And it tipped away there. Once again, Jackson Field has been doing a great job on the penalty kill. And he flips it over the dasher into the Flyer bench. We get a whistle and a stoppage of play.
Shots favor the Flyers 10-4. They haven't been really able to get it into the offensive zone where they like it with this man advantage. And you get into the final regular season game and you'd like to try to build a lead against Detroit Lakes. See what you can do in the second and third period.
All of those little battles away from the puck. Here's a quick shot by Moore. Save is made, but Solberg and Kaczynski-Helgeson were kind of battling in the draw circle, or just as the left wingers. As I see a little bit of tension between these two teams starting to build here in the final regular season game for both.
Well, and this game has always been on the schedule, you know, at the end of the season. So and we've always played Detroit Lakes, so you know, a different section, but there's a little bit of I'd call it a friendly rivalry there.
Oh yeah. Still 29 seconds left here on the power play for the Flyers.
The other thing to remember is that they're in the same district in youth hockey, you know, so they have those battles throughout their whole youth hockey career as well.
Philippi sends it back now to Buckaloo at the left point. Plays it down low in the corner. Hayden Johnson trying to take it out of there along the boards. Now George Moore comes in, plays it in the corner. Glove there by Buckaloo. Just 5 seconds left here on the power play. And they tried to get it back to Buckaloo. Couldn't get a shot off, and the Flyers now 0 for 2 on the power play. This will come in on the netminder, Dane. And Kuchar
whipped it right up.
Pass there. Gets it to Buckaloo. Tried a little difty move there. Couldn't get around the defense, however. There, good job there by Gross. Now an opportunity to the side of the net there. Hines made the save. Hines just kind of held out to dry there for a short time. It got quickly back into the crease. And unable to go around there and dump it in there was Philippi. Back the other way now. Coming in on that right side is Fields. Shot was taken. I think the net might be off the magnet. Now Dane puts it back on to help out with 2:15 to go here in the first. Shots 11-5 in favor of the Flyers. But Flyers 0 for 2 on the power play. And Detroit Lakes 0 for 1 on the power play. So both teams have had some special teams opportunities tonight. Trying to keep it in and able to do so are the Lakers there. Was this touch by Jordan Fields. He'll play it down deep. Gunnar Gustafson gets it up out on the far side. Touched there by Philippi, intercepted by the Lakers. Dump back into the Flyers' end, and then it'll be played out to center ice. And dumping it all the way down will be Philippi with 1:45 to go here in the first of a scoreless first period. Back to the high slot it comes. Goes over the stick there of Hubbard. Racing after the puck now. This is Jake Green on the third line winger. Tries to avoid the check there of Hubbard. Does get a shot off. And the save made there by Kucher as he plays that one into the corner. Behind the net now, this is Bainey with it. He'll try to center it out. Intercepted here by Dobel, and Dobel will push it out to center ice. Fired back in by the Lakers. Down to 1:20 to go here in the first. Behind the net now and carrying it out to center ice. That is Hubbard. Right wing side now. Passes to Hirsch. Hirsch with a head of steam on the right wing. Trying to come in hard. Good job on the defenser. Does pass it out in the slot. Down there was Bjorgi. Couldn't get a stick on it. Still in the corner, and now played up to the line and out to center. This will be icing, I think, coming up here on the Lakers. With 55 seconds to go in the first, we're still scoreless.
What do you think the Flyers have done through the neutral zone? Detroit Lakes is making it a little tough.
I've been very impressed with Detroit Lakes in their offensive zone. It's almost like a delayed trap that they're running, and then it's carrying over into the neutral zone. But the one thing that James pointed out is DL has been very physical, and we're struggling with that a little bit.
Yeah, the physicality, I think, and that especially with a team like DL, they play a lot of physical teams in that section. Little Falls not used to that, and come third period, we'll have to see how it is.
Yeah, like I said, I think one of the big, we got a slash here, I think.
Except they're still playing, they're playing physical, but still bending some rules, and at least the officiating tonight is catching most of those.
So this is now the third power play, right?
Correct, yep.
Yep, so, I mean, here now we're looking at, you mentioned 30%, right? They've been running all year, so we need one here. But, as Jamie Pettit will say, a split power play between two periods is one of the most challenging things.
So that's why they want to score in the first 46 seconds of this power play.
Otherwise, Jamie's summary is going to be really short. Oh, flipped out to center ice. Picked up here now by Majurley. As we're inside a minute to go, 35 seconds left, as you mentioned. Hopefully they can score here. Otherwise, they're going to have about a minute 15 or so on the power play in the second period. And sweeping right through the crease there was Stevens, but he couldn't get a backhand shot on the net. Still held in here by Little Falls. Gustafson with it now on the half wall. Gustafson bumped off the puck there, picked up here by the Lakers, and they'll carry it out to center. That's Wimmer with it. Wimmer tied up there by Hirsch. 4 seconds left at center ice. Shooting it all the way down and gloving it there is Hines. He'll drop it. There's the horn. And the first period comes to an end.
Well, both teams played the first period, the first 17 minutes, as if they're getting prepped for the playoffs. Neither team seemed to take a shift off. Detroit Lakes took 3 penalties in the first period of play. That could be a result of the physical play that they've had throughout the first period, but it somewhat of a playoff atmosphere preview.
Absolutely. I think it's definitely a playoff atmosphere. And actually, this might be a great game for the Flyers, just in the sense of going against a physical team like this, because even though you got the Sartells, they're a physical team too at times.
Yeah, I think Tony can go into the locker room after this, and I think he'll probably say something about this is a playoff hockey type game. You know, Little Falls probably came out thinking that they were going to maybe jump one early, and it didn't happen, so we got a 0-0 game here, and we'll see where the second period goes.
Let's first of all give kudos to who's running the cameras tonight for Flyer Media Productions, and they are as follows. Owen Swisher and Caden Olson, they're 6th graders. Carter Waltman, the 5th grader, and the graphics and assistant replay is Austin Moore, of course, all under the direction of Mark Deal. And you might be able to see here on the screen, we have the Ice Mites out there. And let's I think we have all the names of the Ice Mites, don't we?
We've got the names of the participants in this highly intense matchup between the first and second period. And the first name on the list is very familiar, Leighton Dobis. How old's Leighton, Chris?
He turned 4 in January.
And he's got his own rink at home.
He does. This is his first year of organized Ice Mite hockey, so he was pretty excited.
Cruz Hilmerson, Vivian Fickman, Kinley Schmigdahl, Lucas Reed, Ian Schmea, Henry Brill, Elliot Brill, Brantley Stavish, Catherine Storzinger, Bo Storzinger, and Reese Turville. Those are the ice mites that are being featured between the first and second period. Have some of these ice mites been over at the Dobis rink?
They have not. My wife and I talked about that, and it's been really neat to see the kids progress this year. You know, a lot of these kids just started skating at the beginning of the year, and to see them now, it's pretty neat. But I'm sure years to come, many of these kids will be in our yard in the winter at some point.
Well, it looks like, not to single Layton out, but they have a 1-0 lead, and I see he's wearing number 16 out there, too. So I was going to ask the number choice on that. Is there any semblance behind that number at all?
Not at all, actually. We were up in Michelle's pro shop, and I said, hey, buddy, we got to order you a jersey. And she said, well, what number do you want on it? And he said 16. So we'll see how long that carries.
We'll see how it does. So far, a 1-0 lead for, we'll call them the purple team. And, of course, the other team out there right now, they're giving everything they can, too. So always fun, and it's great to see both of the varsity players that are out there lined up helping out, too. So we've already had one big save down here, too.
You know, I think more than anything, the kids getting to skate here is the players on the blue line, on both blue lines, watching them. I always used to tell the high school kids, you have no idea how much these little kids look up to you. And they remember those stories for a long time.
And I agree. I think even just talking with some of the kids, they get excited to watch these little kids out there and you know, kind of be role models to them.
Yeah, when the season started, the morning that Little Falls hosted scrimmages, actually, I brought Layton with me, and the players were coming out. And Dane always carries a puck in his glove when he enters the ice.
Got a breakaway there. And a 2-0 lead for the purple team.
And Dane threw it up to me, and I gave it to Layton, and he's got a special place for that in his bedroom. So
the Gold are down by 2 right now, and the time we're down to 2:55 to go. It's a 6-minute game, and here's a shot that just goes wide. And I think that might have been the hat trick almost opportunity there.
I think so.
Layton has no interest in being a goaltender, or his father has no interest in Layton being a goaltender?
Well, Dane gave him a set of pads and a blocker and a glove and a helmet that he wears indoors. Sometimes he has his sister wear it, though, and then Hadley's got to play goalie, and then Layton will shoot on her. So.
Let's see what happens here. The puck sitting in the slot area there, and Brill. A save. What a save there. Big save by the Gold team to still keep the deficit just at 2-0.
How often do they practice?
They typically have 2 practices a week, one, Monday through Friday, and then one on the weekend. So, and they go this weekend. They have a jamboree in Long Prairie. The following weekend, they have one here at home, and then they end in Wadena.
Okay.
Down to the final 2 minutes of this one, still a 2-0 lead. As the purple leading the goal. Looks like we got another entry here of the Gold team coming in.
Yeah.
And here comes the Gold team now back the other way. And opportunity here. Fires it just wide as they're looking for their first point of the game. Played out at center ice once again. Layton able to move it ahead a little bit. Tried to get the assist there, but the shot goes wide.
Interference
just
call.
Got knocked down from behind. Where's the referee?
I was going to say.
Here's a chance.
They're going to drop the gloves here and go.
Typically, my broadcast partner to my left, he'd be all over that trying to find the officials.
I don't see any stripes out here right now.
Much calmer tonight. Must be you. You're the calming effect on James Hershey. It finally took a third person in the booth to get that done.
When I knew that this game was going to be after section seating and all the debating was going to be over, I felt a little more comfort in that.
I figured that was going to happen, yeah. We're down to the final 45 seconds of this one. The parents are on edge right now. They're just standing on edge going, come on, come on. As still the 2-0 lead here for the purple. A lot of the play been down on that end right now, though, so. Final 25 seconds to go. And coming up here after this game, we're going to get a chance to talk about the seniors. Here's an opportunity. Breakaway. The Gold might pull it on the board. They score! And it's 2-1. I don't know if they're going to have enough time. There's only 9 seconds left.
Oh, they're celebrating there.
Oh, yeah. Massive celebration.
Kodak moment.
Here's a chance. Ooh.
And there's the horn. What a game. The final, purple 2, gold 1. And a hand for all the Ice Mites out there in this one.
Did a nice job. They're progressing nicely.
Yeah, like I said, it's really neat to see, even going all the way back to Kucher's fall camp that he has, seeing some of the kids for the first time go out there. So we'll see. We'd like to see the numbers grow a little bit, and we'll see how many kids come out next year.
I always think it's the transition point of mites to squirts. Yeah. That's where you got to get them. You got to keep them in from mites to squirts, because that's when the parents get a little spooked about the travel and the expense that might be involved. But if you can get them from mites to squirts, there's a good chance they'll stay in it.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk lately, I think, just in youth hockey in general about that whole squirt setup. You look at our program, and as a squirt, you travel to Moorhead to get an hour of ice, and you've got 3.5 hours of travel, and your kid is maybe out there for 10 minutes. It's interesting in youth hockey. You think about this; they play more games than they have practices. You look at a high school team, 75, 80 practices for the year, 25 games. You think about player development, especially from that ice mite to squirt level of your, there's a lot to be said about just honing your own skills in practices at that young age too. But I know there's been some talk about that.
Well, one thing too, I will say, I grew up in the Twin Cities. I grew up with Darby Hendrickson, a Minnesota Wild player. And obviously Darby, how he got so well is it wasn't necessarily playing organized hockey. It was playing shinny hockey, going down and playing for hours until mom was yelling at him, says, you need to come home because it's like 11 o'clock at night. Are we seeing that with the kids nowadays, or is that kind of going away? I know you have your own rink in the backyard, so you're trying to do that with your son, but it doesn't seem like that's happening as much as it used to.
I think, take Hockey Day Minnesota for an example. I think that's brought a little bit of energy to the outside idea a little bit. Ironically, I was in Phoenix a couple of weeks ago, and, flying into Phoenix, you're seeing all the golf courses. Flying back into Minnesota, you're seeing a lot of outdoor rinks as you're hovering around. And they have a lot of good stories on, share your outdoor rink and, submit pictures and stuff. There's nothing like outdoor hockey. The sound of the ice and the puck, hitting the boards and just the kids taking in that experience. I'll give you an example of an outdoor rink kid on the current Flyer team is Matt Philippi had a rink, in his yard. And Matt can stick handle in a phone booth. He's got great hands. He's got great vision. And those things are learned on some of that outdoor ice.
Absolutely. And speaking of learning outside, I'm sure the seniors that we're going to feature here probably did a lot of that back when they were younger kids. And we'll start off with one of the seniors in Mark Vetter. And, of course, Mark, as head coach Tony Kucher talked about in the pregame show, generally a junior varsity player, but Mark, an excellent teammate. And that's what you a lot of times need, too. And maybe you're not necessarily the guy that gets in the games. You still need to be a teammate to everybody.
Yeah, and I mean, let's not forget, these are student athletes, and, all of these seniors are going to go on to graduate this year, and they remember all of these experiences. I had the opportunity to coach Mark for a couple of years, and I always brought a nice, good attitude to the locker room. Always looked forward to playing those games. It didn't matter if he was playing on the JV team. He looked forward to playing hockey.
Mark is actually going to go to, looks like St. Cloud Technical College for HVAC there, so that's his future plans. And once again, he's one of the 6 seniors on this team for the Flyers. We continue on, going from Mark. And our next senior we have on there is Adam Bubba Funk. And, of course, Adam, as head coach Tony Kucher talked about him also, had not played any organized hockey until last year. And obviously you were here, you kind of know that story because you actually taught back over in Piers for many years.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful for him to take that step, and He's experienced a lot of success in Pioneer athletics over the years, and you alluded to the Prep Bowl championships that he's had 2 of them, right, for him?
2 for him, yeah.
And I think he's brought a different mentality to that locker room. It's always interesting when you bring somebody in that's, from a different community, experienced different teams, and he's done a fantastic job.
I think the good thing with that the Flyers might not realize out of him is having the experience at the tough games, those big games. And yes, he's not going to be the guy that's going to be between the pipes and on the ice, but he can be the guy that might be able to say, hey, guys, I've been in these situations before. This is what we need to do. And that might be huge come playoff time this year.
Yeah, and I haven't seen the playoff roster, but I think he's the backup goalie on the playoff roster.
I believe that's correct.
I believe that's so. It's not official yet, but that will be happening.
The official playoff roster is when they drop the puck on Tuesday night at 7 o'clock.
Right.
But I think that is probably going to be the case.
Yeah. So there could be something to that.
Absolutely. I guess that's something I would look at just in being a senior and having 2 Prep Bowl championships and playing obviously at US Bank Stadium and winning a Prep Bowl this past year and that. So once again, his future plans, we talked about it in our interviews. He wants to be a graphic designer, so he's going to try to get a graphic design degree in the future. As we move on with the other seniors, we continue on. We will move on to our next senior. I think that'll be Mason Doble. First, you see the stats there for Mason. He's got 9 goals, 8 assists, 17 points in his career. And Mason has really, I think, stepped into his game this year as a senior. Talking with him back when he was a sophomore to a junior and now to a senior, he really, I think, has developed and has been huge on that third line, Jamie, this year.
Well, the third line plays an integral part in a hockey game, especially at the Class A level. If you can play a third line, he's a left wing on the third line. For the most part, he's been with Nolan Bjorgi most of the season. Tonight, he's got Robbie Kaczynski-Helgeson on the right side, but works hard, has had a nice senior year. The career statistics, he's got 9 goals, 8 assists for 17 points. This year, he checks in with 7 goals and 5 assists for 12 points. So the bulk of his points has come in his senior year.
And I know that we're going to get to Nolan too, but the both of them being on that third line, my personal opinion, this is the best third line the Flyers have had since that state tournament team in 2012, when I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Augie Machi, Mitch Gregory, and Alex Nelson.
I'm not going to dispute that with you. That sounds right.
Yeah, similar to this year, just like that year, we felt good a third line against anybody's first line.
Absolutely. So once again, Mason Doble having a great senior year, and as all these seniors that we're seeing, as you remember them being younger players, the development has grown for all of them.
And according to the program, it says he likes to sing on the bus after the game. What can you tell us about that?
Honestly, I don't recall that.
You don't know anything about singing on the bus after the game?
I'll give you the story about singing on the bus.
See, he knows and you don't?
I don't. It didn't happen until this year after the win at Monticello. Okay. After the game in Monticello, when the Flyers won that 6-3 game, or 6-3, 6-2. What was this? I can't remember. 6-3, 6-2. Regardless, they won
against Monticello.
6-2. 6-2. After that game, they started. They've been bringing now a speaker on the bus, and everybody was happy in that. And long story short, obviously, Bob Stark likes to get involved in set, and he's like, hey, let's put some other kind of music on, some older music, right? So they put that older music on. I think they might have put on like Sweet Caroline or something like that.
That's the music they play in Superior, Wisconsin.
And then all of a sudden, the whole bus just broke out and started singing it. And then they started doing basically a medley of songs from, I would say, St. Cloud just to pretty much Little Falls the rest of the way of the bus ride.
Jamie, the only bus memories I have is the bus breaking down on the way to Fergus Falls twice.
Yeah, that did happen.
Well, I've been on that bus
twice. That's why we needed the cookies.
That's right, the cookies, the chocolate chip pudding cookies, that you needed energy so that eventually once you got to the rink, you were going to be able to properly coach.
Yes.
You didn't
that did happen.
You didn't like my Bob Stark impression, did you, either?
Bob's a good omelet maker. Bob's promised me an omelet. I keep that in the back of my mind, at some point I'm going to take Bob up on the omelet offer.
Reese Hubbard is our next senior. And by the way, Mason Doble, he's going to go for construction management at St. Cloud Tech. Reese Hubbard, what can you say about Reese? Didn't do a lot of scoring. And this year, boy, the scoring is blowing up. He had no goals coming into this season. He's got 9 goals. He's got a bunch of assists, and he's almost at the 50-point club now level.
Yeah, in fact, after he scored his first goal this year, I saw him at the high school and congratulated him. And I remembered a story. I believe it was last year in Wadena, or maybe it would have been 2 years ago. Did they play in Wadena this year? So it would have been 2 years ago.
His sophomore year.
I remember Reese threw a puck on net, and he thought he had scored, and it actually got tipped. And the puck was, it was going down
kind
before
of a nosedive.
Yeah, before it got to the goalie, and it ended up being tipped. But he's had a great year. He's got over 30 points this year, I believe, and many of those are assists because those are coming from the back end. Breaking out the puck, and he likes to jump in the play. He enjoys doing that, but he knows when he can do it and when he can't.
Absolutely.
I can remember when he was a sophomore, you and I standing together during a non-broadcast game, and you said, boy, I like Reese Hubbard. You could see that as a sophomore. You liked Reese Hubbard's play.
Yeah, in fact, it even goes back to when he was a Bantam. I started watching that Bantam group quite a bit at those games, and I just liked the way he played. I knew he had to get bigger, he had to get faster, stronger, but I always look for vision in players, and he can see the ice well.
And as always, Reese Hubbard's a joker. Future plans: attend college to get a degree. So
right.
that sums up pretty much Reese Hubbard, if you know.
It's a good positive path.
It is.
That's right.
Hey, we continue on to our next senior, that being Nolan Bjorgi. You kind of talked about him already with that third line and Mason Doble, but Nolan has really had a phenomenal season too this year for the Flyers, as you see, has 13 career points.
Well, he's one of the Flyers that's missed some time due to injury, and he came back in that Alexandria game, got bumped around more than once, very durable, still in the lineup.
Yeah, I actually talked to him a few days ago, and I asked him, how he's doing. He said he's good to go. That was kind of his response. This is the last hurrah for him. I had a great opportunity this year to do a mock interview with Nolan in my position as HR director with the school. And a very well-polished kid that's going to be very successful in the future.
Yeah, he's going to the University of Duluth for elementary education, and I know that's what you did, too, to start off with.
Yeah,
so.
and that's, with Lynn Guas' class at the high school, she gets mock interviews set up for the students, and just to run them through a little bit of what it might be like, and we provide feedback to the kids, but I have no doubt that he's going to be successful in education.
And last but not least, Ryan Buckaloo. And boy, as we talked about this in the first period, here's a kid that came out of nowhere, has got 20 goals this year. As you see, his career points at 44 points, and he's been a staple this year on that offense. He's been on the first line mostly, except for tonight he's gone to the second line.
Yeah, you want to talk about giving a kid an opportunity and him taking full advantage of it.
Absolutely.
That's him this year. And, last year I remember he was not a top 9 forward for us. And then I said, boy, he's got great hands. We got to just try him on the power play for a little bit. We had him dress just to be on the power play. I kind of mentioned it earlier today that I compare him to a shooter in basketball, that if the kid can get the ball in basketball, he's going to knock the shot down. If you can get him in space with the puck by the net, he's going to score.
And Ryan, I know, talking with his dad, he worked his butt off over the summer to get into the shape and condition to play this year, and it has paid off, and that's why he's got 20 goals this year. So that is a look at our senior players. Also, Max Dempsey, the manager, and then the statisticians, Katie Card and Ava Philippi. And by the way, we should mention that Ryan Buckaloo, he is going to the University of Superior and get a major in physical education. So once again, congratulations and good luck to all the seniors, as they have had a great year, and it'll continue on. Speaking of continuing on, the power play continues on as we are underway with period number 2. Still a minute to go on the power play, and we still have no score. And a quick shot there by Gunnar Gustafson, and Hines makes the save and holds on.
Shots on goal in the first period, 11 for Little Falls, 6 for Detroit Lakes. Dane Kucher and the Little Falls Flyer net was 6 of 6. Jack Hines and the Detroit Lakes Laker net was 11 of 11. Flyers 0 for 2 on the power play. Lakers 0 for 1 on the power play. This is power play number 3 for Little Falls.
All right, once again, let's see what Little Falls can do here on that power play. Still 42 seconds left to go. Played down low and trying a one-time shot there, and that was trying to get Hubbard on that right side, unable to do so. Stevens has it now. He'll play it into the corner. Stevens still with it. Plays it off the end wall, gives it there to Hirsch. Now Gustafson calling for it. Tries to get it back to Hirsch, a little give and go, but the pass is just a little bit off there. Hirsch now tries to give it over to Hubbard, who's way down low. At the high slot there, that is Majorly. He'll pass it to the left side. 12 seconds left on the power play, as it's Gustafson playing it off the end wall. Hirsch couldn't catch up to it. Hubbard has it now. Back to Majorly. Passed over to Gustafson. Gustafson with a shot. It was knocked down there by Field. Stick. And the net has come dislodged. The penalty has expired. And we're back to 5-on-5 hockey.
Is it true in practice that you Zamboni the ice and try the power play on one of these broken power play situations?
There are times, a lot of times the ice is Zambonied in between periods, at the half point of the practice, and sometimes we would open up the second half of practice with power play, yes.
Because the puck slides so much faster on a freshly resurfaced ice.
Yep, absolutely. If they get another chance here, they're going to get one on that backside. I'm very surprised to see all of it. You notice when one of our players on the power play has the puck on the sidewall, every Detroit Lakes player is staring at the puck. They know the guy's behind them, but they're not really paying a lot of attention to him.
Pass here's Philippi to Buckaloo. Buckaloo trying to kick it over to his forehand, unable to do so. Buckaloo had it in the corner, taken away there briefly by the Lakers. Buckaloo trying to dig it out of there with Philippi. Buckaloo now has it at the half wall, slides it over to the right point. Moore trying to keep it in. He was able to keep it in onside. We played 2 minutes here of the second period, and still scoreless in this one. Shots are doubled up, 12-6 in favor of the Flyers. Loose puck picked up here by Bren. Outlet pass now over to Jordan Fields, and Fields will dump it in. Going back was Brennan. Actually didn't take the puck. He went into the corner with it, and that gave the Flyers an opportunity to at least get it to the line, but not out. Shot taken there by Bergman. Goes wide and back out to center. Gets through everyone here. And icing coming up here. Well, I thought they were going to call icing, but they didn't.
Lakers got a stick on it on the Lakers side of the red line.
And they let it go.
I'm really curious to see now if Little Falls makes an adjustment on their breakout to see if they try and skate at, just like what Reese did there. He took the puck from the corner and he attacked those forecheckers.
Good job there by Mason Doble to use a screen there of Kaczynski Helgeson and just shot it wide, and then a shot comes in there by Bjorgi onto the netminder Hines, and he makes his 13th save of the game.
Well, we hyped up that third line during the first period intermission, and a good scoring chance for Doble, another good chance for Bjorgi. Shot was on, and Hines made the save.
And, great adjustment there. I mean, you saw how quickly the Flyers were able to break that puck out of the zone, and that started with the defenseman attacking those forecheckers. So we'll see if that continues.
Coming up in intermission number 2, we're going to talk about Section 6A and the seating and the brackets. So that'll be coming up in intermission number 2. So if you have to grab a snack, do it quickly, and then you can come back for all the debate. Got a penalty coming up here.
Charging call.
And going to the box is going to be...
He's going to get more than that, too.
As he just slammed his stick also along the glass here. It's going to get a 2-minute charging and a 2-minute unsportsmanlike.
It's going to be a double minor. Time of the penalty, 3:10 of the second period, or time of the penalties, 3:10 of the second period. So 2-minute minors to Robbie Kaczynski Helgeson. The Lakers will have the advantage.
So once again, the first one is going to be 2 minutes for charging. The second one will be 2 minutes for unsportsmanlike. After he took the charging call, he came over and slammed his stick on the penalty box glass, and that got him the unsportsmanlike.
I don't think it helped that it happened right in front of the Flyers bench either.
Right side now. 0 for 1 on the power play here so far tonight are the Lakers. Shot taken there by Wimmer. That one goes up, and I believe it. See what
they catch the safety netting?
I think it might have caught the netting, but it's going to stay inside the zone.
So with the double minors, it's 2 separate power plays for Detroit Lakes. So if they score on the first opportunity, there'll be a full 2 minutes remaining on the second opportunity. So double minors against Robbie Kaczynski-Helgeson, 3:10 of the second period. Power plays 2 and 3 for Detroit Lakes.
Wimmer with a shot there. It was off the back wall. Wimmer gets it back again. Little give and go. This is Benson. Back to Wimmer. Back to Benson at the high slot. Bren with a shot on net. Kuchar makes the save. Cleared around the boards by Hubbard, but held in at the right point by Wimmer. Wimmer, top of the circle, now to the high slot there. Benson back to Wimmer, one-time shot. That was partially deflected there by Stevens. Able to keep it in the zone once again of the Lakers. Wimmer with it, back now to Benson. Benson fans on that shot as he didn't get full wood, and the Flyers are able to clear it the length of the ice.
You can tell that that Alex Bren, number 11 for DL, they're trying to get him the puck on that side, but he took that shot. He was down by the hash mark.
Picked up here now by the Lakers. They'll come out of their own zone. Rink-wide pass caught there by Bainey. Sent just wide to the netminder Kuchar down to the Flyers zone. Still 2:40 to go here on the penalty. So there's about 40 seconds left on the first minor, and then the second minor will start up. Down below now, once again, this is the Lakers with it. That's Bergman with it. Gets it back down to the right point. Solberg with a shot. Save made there by Kuchar. Rebound down to the side of the net there. That's Schwann with it. Shot back to the left point. Quick shot taken there. Knocked down by Gustafson. And Hubbard picks up the loose puck. Flips it to the line, but not out. Held in here by Solberg. Solberg with a shot fired. That one just wide. Held in at the left point now by Gustafson. He'll play it down low. And it's intercepted by Hubbard. Can he clear it out? He does. And the first penalty has been expired now. So now it's penalty number 2 here to Kaczynski-Helgeson for another minute 50. 11:40 to go in the second. And are you surprised it's still a scoreless game? I'm kind of surprised there hasn't been any scoring either way.
Well, the shots on goal are a little lower than I thought they might be. Both goaltenders have played well. But with the number of power plays we've had, you'd think that we'd have 1 or 2 up on the board.
Yep. But really not a lot of good scoring chances. You know, a couple good saves by each goaltender, but even in this power play so far, DL has controlled the puck, but really a lot on the perimeter. Not a lot of shots to the net.
Yeah, we haven't seen any breakaways yet, and we haven't seen any 2-on-1s or odd man rushes either. It's pretty much both teams are kind of playing the middle of the ice, and the only place you have to move is the perimeter, like you mentioned. Still 105 here on the power play. Good forecheck there that time by Stevens. Played up on the left wing, touched there by Bren. Bren lost it there to Gustafson, and Gustafson's going to fire it all the way down and kill some more time. 50 seconds left to go on that double minor to Kaczynski-Helgeson. Gustafson and now Philippi helping out. Philippi has it in the corner, plays it up here to Colton Johnson. Colton Johnson gets it back to the point. Try to take a shot towards the net. It's knocked down there by Bren, and they'll play it out to center ice. Picked up here by Wimmer. Wimmer avoids the check there. Now this is Fields with it. Jackson Fields, a tough angle shot. Glove save made by Dane, and he holds on. 24 seconds to go on the power play here in the second.
Detroit Lakes lost to Warroad on January 4th, 10-1. Since that time, the Lakers have won 9 of 10 games. The only loss to Wadena Deer Creek 3-2 in overtime. But in those 10 games, the Lakers have only allowed 10 goals.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you look at the numbers coming in. 65 goals have been allowed this year for the Lakers. On the other side, the Flyers have allowed 52 goals. You look at the scoring, though, and almost the Flyers have doubled up the scoring of the Lakers. 132 goals for the Flyers, 74 for the Lakers. And down to the final 5 seconds here, and the Flyers are able to kill off a double minor.
All right, let's see how the next 5 minutes go here. You just kill off 4 minutes of a power play for DL. Again, could be a momentum boost. See what happens.
Both teams 0 for 3 on the power play tonight. Here's Majurley now, leaves it back there for Hubbard, gives it back to Majurley in the corner, touched here by Hirsch, plays it back to Majurley, backhand attempt, tried to slide it over to Stevens, once again on the short side. Trying to go back door once again. Here's an opportunity. A backhand attempt there by Gustafson, and just getting a piece of that one was Hines. As it looked like Gustafson was going to find the back of the net, but Hines was able to get the pad over in time.
Nick Stevens is getting a lot of stick work to him right now, and I am surprised we have not seen the referee's hand up yet.
He's blowing a lot of kisses right now is what he's doing. Still controlled here by Little Falls. Gustafson goes into the circles, now to the right side. Gustafson with a shot, goes off the back there of Stevens. Gustafson picks it back up. Around the bend we go once again. Shot there by Gustafson over the cage. Centered out there by Hirsch, cleared the length of the ice. And it'll be icing coming up here on the Lakers. 8:40 to go in the second. Still scoreless. Shots are 14-12 as they're getting closer now together here in favor of the Flyers.
I agree. I'm surprised that there wasn't a call considering the amount of contact right near Jack Hines in the Laker net as Stevens was just being hammered time after time after time.
You're not surprised, though, are you?
Well, in theory, yes.
I will say Jamie's been a little more vocal this year about some of the calls here or there than he has in the years past. Might be old age maybe setting in a little bit.
Old and cranky.
8:30 to go in the second. Still scoreless. Out at center. Here's Bjorgi at third line out there now. And you got Bricky out there now filling in for Kaczynski-Helgeson, who's probably taking a little breather on the bench. So Bricky out there along with Dobel and also Bjorgi. Played back in the Lakers zone. Lakers flip it out to center ice. Moore falls down, tries to move it ahead. Dobel will turn around and fire it into an open corner. First to be touched there by Benson for the Lakers, and out to center ice it comes. Moore goes back at his own blue line. He'll play it over here to Marshall Inez. Inez comes across the center line. Lost the puck there to Benson. Back the other way. Here comes Bren, right wing side. Tied up there, Bren. That time penalty coming up here as Buckle is going to go to the box probably for holding. And it'll be the fourth power play of the night for DL.
Alex Bren has been very visible in this game. Buckaloo got a little too much jersey, a tug, a hold into the box, and Detroit Lakes to the power play for the fourth time in this game. Time of the penalty, 9:19 of the second.
Official wanted nothing to do with anything the captain Buckaloo had to say as they escorted him to the box.
It was the right call.
Yeah.
It was a penalty. And you're right. Brent has given the Flyers a little bit of fits in the D zone.
He was injured in the first period, slow to get back to the Laker bench, but he's sprung right back into action.
Uh-oh. All right, here's an opportunity. Stevens coming in right wing. Quick shot there. Hines got a piece of that one, and it flips up over the glass, hits the safety netting, and out of play as the faceoff will stay down in the DLN with 1:47 to go on the power play. Still no score.
Another good chance for the Little Falls Flyers on that penalty kill. Gabe Hirsch and Nick Stevens up front. Defensively, that top pair of Majorly and Hubbard.
Stevens with a shorthanded goal this year. Philippi with a shorthanded goal this year. Save made there by Hines, and he holds on. Gabe Hirsch also with a shorthanded goal this year, and I'm missing one. I'll find it here eventually. There's three. Who's the fourth?
Stevens, Hirsch, Matt Philippi, and Dane Kuchar.
That's right.
Has a shorthanded goal.
That's why I'm missing it.
Goaltender Dane Kuchar in the Monticello game, a 6-2 win for Little Falls.
Hence the reason why there was a lot of singing on the bus, I think, too. Quick shot taken wide there by Bren. See, I don't put points for the goalie on my sheet. Do you have it on your sheet?
For Jane?
For points?
I don't think we'll hold that one against you.
On your line chart.
No, I don't have the points on my line chart.
Okay.
I have a separate sheet for that.
That's right. You have a separate sheet for a lot of stuff, don't you?
You got a lot going on.
A lot going on there.
So Jamie, are you a little surprised in where Brent is taking that shot from on this power play here?
Well, it could be that was a good chance right there.
Yeah, it was. He got a pass or a shot that deflected back out to Brennan. He took the second shot right into Dane, and Kuchar made the save and holds on. 58 seconds to go here on the power play.
This is the fourth power play for the Lakers now. They'll change their power play unit. Little Falls will come with two fresh penalty killers up front along with two fresh defensemen. And this power penalty kill unit will be led by Gustafson.
I think this is a good eye-opener for both teams going into this playoffs. I think this is a great game. I mean, you look at the records, and obviously Little Falls has got more wins than the Lakers, but the way both these teams are playing, they almost look like they're identical.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said earlier, you can sense it, you can feel it. We've got a pretty decent crowd here tonight, and I think both teams are trying to build some momentum for next week.
Little Falls plays on Tuesday at home against Sartell. Detroit Lakes doesn't play till Thursday. They'll go to Hallock to take on Kitson Central.
Yeah, that's not a fun place to play up there either.
It's ice cold.
Yes.
It's ice cold in that building.
That's a cold.
Second coldest rink in the state.
Uh-oh, what's your first, though?
Sauk Center.
See, I would say Red Lake Falls is the coldest.
No, Sauk Center's colder than Red Lake Falls.
When you go into Red Lake Falls and there's frost on the glass, doesn't that say, hey, that's a pretty cold rink?
Well, that's a good sign.
Red Lake Falls also has an overhead on their benches that's about 4 inches from my head. And when I was coaching Morris Benson, I had happened to jump, and let's just say I was on my feet very quick.
And the neutral zone's the size of a shoebox at Carden Hunt Arena in Red Lake Falls.
Oh, yeah. And that ceiling is even lower than the one here at the Exchange Arena. All right, inside of 5.5 minutes to go. Penalty boxes are empty, and we're back to 5-on-5 hockey. Let's see what the Flyers can do here. So they've had to kill off and waste a lot of energy out there this period, just killing off things. Dane's coming all the way out, trying to play it away. It's gloved, then fired a shot there by Jackson Fields, and it goes off the side of the net. Fields has been all over on the forecheck tonight, and he nearly cashed in on a potential mistake there by Dane Kuchar. And we could have had our first goal, but it was just off the side of the net.
Yeah, I think Dane meant to play that one a little bit up the wall. Instead, it was more in the center of the ice.
Lakers reeling right now, trying to see if they can get something going. Flyers back out to center. Here's a 4-on-2 developing, and then Bjorgi just flipped it in and goes off. And we've got to be careful for too many guys on the ice there, as Benson will play it out to center, come in on the netminder Dane, and he'll slide it over here to Buckaloo. Buckaloo behind his own net. Gets it up on the right wing side. Touched there by Hayden Johnson. Comes back into the zone as Schwand is able to dump it in a little deeper. Now Majurley avoids a check there of Bren. Picked up by Hubbard. Rink-wide pass. Trying to catch it there is Hayden Johnson. And it's picked up here by Wimmer. Wimmer throws it over on the right side to Solberg. Solberg now comes across the line. Fires a shot as he was falling down there. As he was hanging on there as Buckaloo is on his left side. Back out to center ice it comes. Dump back in once again. 4 minutes to go here in the second. Still scoreless, and another icing call coming up here. Now they'll say no icing. They wave it off. As it looked like it was going to be icing on the Flyers. Instead, it'll be touched up here by the Lakers. They'll play it to the line out to center ice. Hirsch got just belted, and that will be a penalty coming up. That's going to be a cross-check to the head, just below. And Detroit Lakes is going to go on the penalty kill here. And finally it's touched, and they're going to say an elbow. Well, it looked like more of a cross-check than an elbow, but regardless, it's a penalty.
Center ice elbowing call, and here's the play on Flyer Media Productions of Dane Kuchar playing the puck. Jackson Fields was able to knock it down, and then his shot hit the side of the net. And it's interesting because we'll get another look at it here, but Dane didn't get enough of it, and Fields is able to knock it down, took a shot from there. My broadcast partner in Wadena was Brad Shellstead for a number of years. Of course, he had a decorated career of his own. He won a state championship at Minneapolis Southwest, a national championship with the Gophers, and he always used to talk about red light, yellow light, green light as far as from a goaltender's perspective, whether they should go for the puck. I think that was clearly a green light play for Kuchar, but he didn't get enough on it, and it almost backfired.
Yeah, and I think that puck was fluttering a little bit, too, as it was coming to him. But, yes, I mean, Dane had 100% clearance to that puck.
Well, Dane's got the shooting ability. He's got a goal this year with an open net. So, by the way, the penalty was on Jake Grain, an elbow call. And we get a puck that goes out of play here. So the faceoff will stay inside the Lakers zone. Minute 53 to go on the power play here. And the Flyers are 0 for 3 so far. See if they can maybe get one here. By their percentage of, they've had 30%, they should score here.
Reese is trying to find that spot. You can see him sitting over there.
Here's Hirsch now with it. Hirsch got tripped up behind the net. Maybe incidental stick in there that time with Solberg. Picked up by Hubbard. Turns around. Tries to put a shot towards the net. Now this is Gustafson down low. Trying to slam it in. This Hirsch. And then
another penalty
Hirsch
on
got
Detroit Lakes.
slammed down to the ice there. And it's going to be a cross-checking here on Solberg as he was the one that just slammed Hirsch to the ice. And now it'll be a 5-on-3 coming up here for a minute 18.
Gabe Hirsch draws that penalty along the goal line extended. That gives the Little Falls Flyers a 5-on-3 advantage for a minute and 18 seconds. Scoreless second period. Shots are even 17-17. And Dobis, what do we do on this 5-on-3? What are we trying to get to go to the Flyers' advantage with this 5-on-3?
We'll see how much back and forth Joey and Reese do up at the top. Ideally, if they're going to play one guy up at the top and not rotate, you're just going to go back and forth on those two until one of them gets forced up to you.
Pops over the stick of Hubbard, goes back out to center ice, picked up by Majurley. So they got a minute here on the 5-on-3. No score.
One of the biggest things when you're 5-on-3 is to not rush it. Especially in this situation, you've got a full minute here. Takes one pass.
Backhand attempt there. Puck is loose to the side of the net.
Whoa!
The whistle. Thinking it was a goal. As the horn sounds, they thought it went in, and it did not. I'm not sure why the officials blew it dead. Just because you heard the air horn doesn't mean that they should have blown it dead.
Well, Ben Noah's in his first season as head coach at Detroit Lakes. He's calling the referees over. He's calling them over. Now the referees are meeting at center ice along with the linesman. They obviously blew the play dead because the horn went off.
Yep.
But that wasn't the horn that would signal the end of the period.
No.
That's the horn that goes off when the Flyers score.
A goal, yeah. And I get that, I guess. But if we can go, I don't know if we got replay on that, but the first shot was made, the save was made by Hines, and then Philippi was open on that left side as play continued on. They thought they had scored. At least in the penalty box, they had thought they had scored. Still on the power play. 5-on-3. Here's Hubbard now. He's really in deep. He goes to the wall, picks up the loose puck, skates it back in the slot, passes over. One time fanned on blast there by Gustafson. 20 seconds left to go on the 5-on-3, and it's poked out to center ice. And once again, Jackson Fields. And Fields is going to get right in the inside position there on Hubbard, and Fields is going to take the puck into the corner. He's going to kill off some of this 5-on-3, and they're down to the final 5 seconds left.
For 230 pounds, he moves quite well.
Yeah, I agree.
He is by far been the best player on the ice when it's come to the penalty kill for the Lakers. One penalty has expired, and now we are back to 5-on-4. Kucher nearly maybe got caught for an interference call there, as he was tied up with, that was Solberg back there. No, check that was actually Green, who had just come out of the penalty box. Coming across the line, this is Gustafson. 17 seconds left to go here on the power play. 1 minute to go in the period. Here's a quick shot there by Gustafson, and Hines makes the save. That's save number 20 of the game. Bumped up along the wall now. Gustafson trying to pick it out of there. Final 2 seconds, one, and once again, 0 for 5 on the power play now are the Flyers tonight. And I believe the Lakers are 0 for 4.
That's correct.
Back all the way down into the Flyer zone. 35 seconds left to go. Majurley picks up the loose puck. He'll come across the center line, the blue line, and we get a whistle and a stoppage of play. And too many men
on the ice on the Lakers.
So the 6th power play opportunity coming up. You think they're going to score eventually.
You would like to think so. I mean, they had a few opportunities. You could tell they were trying to get Joey Majurley the puck there on that 5-on-3. He was getting closer and closer and closer, but really only, 2 good shots on that 5-on-3?
Yeah, and it really came in that sequence, and then the horn blew right after that, which kind of, I think, upset even head coach Tony Kuchar. Wasn't very happy about having the play being stopped because they looked like they had something going, some momentum at that point.
I don't think they were obligated to blow the play dead.
No, they're not.
I don't think so, but I think it was kind of a moment where everybody almost stopped, and wondering what's going on. The one thing when you're on the penalty kill, one of your best friends is the whistle, because it stops the play, it breaks the momentum up.
Absolutely.
Bench minor to Detroit Lakes at 16:31. Too many men on the ice.
But they're having Bren serve it? That's kind of odd. As Alex Bren, at least they have number 11 up there. I'll have to look to see if he's in the box when they come out the end. Here comes Dane out again and didn't get full wood on it.
It's been an adventure tonight.
You better check that stick to make sure it's actually full strength. 6 seconds left to go. Flyers will play it out to center ice, and we're going to go to the locker room scoreless after 2 periods of play.
The Flyers will start period 3 with their 6th power play. They're within their 6th power play, and they'll have 1 minute and 32 seconds on power play number 6 to start the 3rd.
It is Alex Bren in the box, so he's serving the bench minor. Once again, as that is the 6th power play coming up here for the Flyers, and they'll have, as Jamie mentioned, 1 minute 32 to go here in period number 3. So 2 periods complete in this one, and we are scoreless. And comments about the second period, really not much different than period number 1 for the most part. There were a few flurries, maybe the Dane Kuchar flub up a little bit of nearly giving up a goal with unable to clear it out of the zone. And on the other side, the Flyers had an opportunity, and then unfortunately the goal horn sounds to kind of stop that momentum.
A lot of penalties. It's hard to get into a rhythm, and now you have 2 coaches that, their bench shortened up in that period because you're playing your power play and your penalty kill the whole period.
I mean, you don't see too many third lines when you've got that many penalties.
Yeah, and that's hard. That's very hard on a team.
4 penalties against Little Falls, 6 against the Detroit Lakes Lakers. There's a couple players that have stood out on the Detroit Lakes side. Alex Bren, Jackson Fields, they both played well. Braden Wimmer is a defenseman for the Detroit Lakes Lakers. His dad happens to be standing next to me. He's expert color commentary on Detroit Lakes radio. So I said to Matt before the game, I said, don't get too wild and knock me over during the game. He's been very well behaved so far.
So far.
Yeah,
so far. That's the key.
Yeah.
All right, no score after 2. Let's get a summary here. Should we do the summary and then we can talk about the section? Let's do that. Let's get the summary right now. You're all ready for that, Jamie?
All set.
All set. Ready? All right. With that second period summary, here's Jamie Pettit.
The Little Falls Flyers are 18-5-1 from Section 6A. The Detroit Lakes Lakers are from Section 8A. They are 13-9-2. The Lakers and Flyers both in their final regular season game were scoreless after 2. Shots on goal in the first period favored Little Falls 11-6. In the second period, it was the Lakers with the shots on goal advantage 11-8. Through 2 periods, Little Falls 19 shots on goal, 17 shots for the Detroit Lakes Lakers. Dane Kuchar, the junior tending net for the Little Falls Flyers, was 6 of 6 in the first, 11 of 11 in the second. Through 2 periods, Kuchar 17 of 17. Jack Hines, the junior goaltender for the Detroit Lakes Lakers. In period 1, Hines was 11 of 11, 8 of 8 in the second. Through 2 periods, Hines 19 of 19. 4 minor penalties whistled against the Little Falls Flyers. Detroit Lakes is 0 for 4 on the power play. 6 minors against the Detroit Lakes Lakers. Little Falls is 0 for 5 with the man advantage, but the Flyers start period 3 on their 6th power play with 1 minute and 32 seconds. It's scoreless between Little Falls and Detroit Lakes after 2 periods of play from the Exchange Arena. The playoffs are up next for both teams. Detroit Lakes has Kitson Central a week from tonight. Little Falls plays at home on Tuesday against the Sartell Sabres.
And speaking of playoffs, I think the playoffs have already started. Tonight's game is, we've talked about it, a playoff game, and it's getting both these teams ready to go, and we can dive into Section 6A playoffs. And I think Mark Deal back there has the brackets here. so we can take a look at it. And it all kicks off coming up here on Saturday with 2 play-in games. The first play-in game you have up there is the 8-9 bracket, Breckenridge Wap and Prairie Center. And then on the bottom side there you have Morris Benson and Wadena Deer Creek. And Jamie, obviously I know you have an extensive time to look at all the stats, the scores and all that. I guess let's look at those first 2 play-in games and kind of what's your feeling and how these are going to shake out.
Well, Breckenridge Wahpeton is the 8th seed. They'll host Prairie Center during the regular season. Breckenridge Wahpeton beat Prairie Center 1-0 and 6-3. A couple top scores for the Breckenridge Wahpeton Blades that could play a significant factor in that first round play-in game. Jace Jensen and Isaac Woolers, two have the ability to put the puck in the net. On Tuesday night, Breckenridge Wahpeton had a chance to possibly move up and get a better seed. They played Morris Benson, but it was Morris Benson beating Breckenridge Wahpeton 7-3. So with the Blades on home ice, you would give them the edge as the favorite. Prairie Center, though, their freshman, Eli Fletcher,
yes,
he leads the North Stars in scoring. Coming into the week, he had 28 goals, and he has the ability to put the puck in the net. He has the ability to shoot the puck about as hard as you would get from any player on the ice at the high school level. And so that could be a pretty tight matchup, but Breckenridge Wahpeton has the home game, and I think they'll probably advance to play St. Cloud Cathedral.
Let me ask you just quickly, the goaltending advantage in that game, which team does have the goaltending? Because as you know now, we get into the playoffs, goaltending becomes huge. Goaltending could win, actually, a tournament for you.
Well, Isaiah Defoe has played over 1,000 minutes for Prairie Center. We saw Isaiah Defoe play Little Falls back in December. It was a 13-1 win for the Little Falls Flyers. Defoe was relieved in that game, but he was injured. He wasn't at full strength that night, and he's played much better as the season's progressed. The senior goaltender, the bulk of the minutes for Prairie Center, that definitely works in their favor. For Breckenridge Wahpeton, they've used 2 goaltenders this season, Hunter Wamry and Jared Amon, but it could be a game where the last team to score wins.
Let's go to the bottom side there of that play-in game. Morris Benson taking on Wadena Deer Creek. And first of all, Chris, I'll bring you in on this one. Morris Benson getting the 7th seed, even though they had many wins this year. Is that where they should have been placed, I guess, or do you feel that maybe they should have been a higher seed than 7?
I think it can be debated, you know. I mean, you have Morris Benson that had, 19 wins, I believe.
Yep.
You know, and you had Sartell that, you know, plays a much tougher schedule that had 6 or 7 wins, I believe. I think the eye test would tell you that this is the right way to do it. But at the same time, and, you know, I previously coached at Morris Benson. It's hard. You play the cards that you're dealt. You play your schedule, and they've had a very successful season. I'll tell you what, if I'm Alexandria, I don't know much about them. I probably don't want to see them. You know, I think we were talking off the air about this. I'm guessing they probably play 2 lines. And when you are playing a team that is fueled to only play 2 lines, that can be very hard to coach against. You know, you're used to playing 3 lines, and how do you want to do that? So we'll see what happens. I don't think a lot of the top teams in the section really know a lot about them.
And that's something that I think is a scary thing sometimes, like you mentioned. They haven't played like an Alexandria. And, of course, let's not forget about Wadena Deer Creek, and I know that Jamie sees Wadena Deer Creek on a regular basis. And, you know, it's a 1-game playoff into the next game. And what are the chances for Wadena Deer Creek against
Well,
Morris
I think
Benson?
it's fair to say that Coach Woods is cautiously optimistic that his Wadena Deer Creek Wolverines can go to Benson on Saturday and win that game. Earlier this year, Morris Benson beat Wadena Deer Creek 6-0 and 5-1. Wadena Deer Creek is a very young team. They're building for the future, but they've had some interesting wins in the last month. Wins against teams from Section 8. One of those wins against the Detroit Lakes Lakers in Wadena, 3-2 in overtime. They also have a win against Kitson Central. Kitson Central is the 4 seed in Section 8A. And then to conclude the regular season, a 4-3 win at Red Lake Falls on Saturday. So Wadena Deer Creek has done very nicely lately against teams from Section 8. But the games they needed to win, so they weren't the 10 seed, when they played Prairie Center, and then they played the third game with Breckenridge Wahpeton, those 2 games were in a span of 3 days, and they lost both of them, and that's why the Wolverines fell to number 10. But I've obviously known Coach Woods forever. We went to school together, we played together, we were captains on the 1991-92 team, and he is motivated, he's impressive as far as his coaching style, and he will give the Morris Benson Storm everything that they can possibly handle.
I wouldn't be at all surprised to see Wadena win that game. We're seeing Detroit Lakes here tonight. I've been very impressed with them, and Wadena obviously knocked them off. You talked about Kitson Central, and I know how good of a coach Scott Woods is.
Absolutely, he is.
I remember many times as an assistant coaching against him, and getting into some line change shuffles and trying to figure that out. He knows the game, so I'm sure the Wolverines are going to be ready.
And just on a side note, if Wadena would win, he'd probably like an opportunity to go to Alexandria and take on the Cardinals, wouldn't you think?
That's possible.
Just as a side note.
Yeah.
That's a possibility. Jeremiah Day's the head coach of the Morris Benson Storm and done a really nice job. They've won 19 games this year. They are playing Becker Big Lake tonight. I would think that there's a good chance that Morris Benson's going to have 20 wins to conclude the regular season. They've got Zach Bruns, a very dynamic, high-scoring forward for Morris Benson. So if they survive in Benson, that's a 3 o'clock game on Saturday. How will they play against Alexandria? That will give Morris Benson the chance to say to the other coaches in Section 6A, you should have seated us higher.
Yeah. Is Tony Schultz still an assistant coach?
I believe that's true, yes.
Great player.
So that is the games, the play-in games on Saturday. Of course, the winners of that will advance on to the Tuesday quarterfinals. We know the number 1 seed, St. Cloud Cathedral. They're the defending champs of Class A. Number 2 is Alexandria. They were the runner-up in Class A 2 years ago, so they're the 1 and 2 seeds. We won't really talk about those 2 teams. Let's talk about the 2 brackets in between. The 4-5 matchup, River Lakes taking on Fergus Falls, and of course Little Falls taking on Sartell St. Stephen. First of all, the River Lakes-Fergus Falls game. Comments on that, guys?
Well, River Lakes beat Fergus Falls twice during the regular season, 7-3 and 4-1. Fergus Falls got up to a really slow start this year. They played much better. They've settled in with their freshman goaltender, Swanson. River Lakes, they are proud as peacocks, I think. They are going to get a home quarterfinal game. They played in Little Falls the last 2 years in the quarterfinals. That wasn't good. That did not go well for the Little Falls Flyers, as the Flyers lost 2 consecutive years to River Lakes. River Lakes then went on to play St. Cloud Cathedral in the semifinals, and it didn't go well for them. But River Lakes finally gets a home quarterfinal game against a very well-coached Mike Donahue Fergus Falls Otter team.
Yeah, Donahue will have those guys ready to go on the road. Though I think one of the big things in that game is going to be how well will River Lakes' first line play and how much will they play. Having that last change will be critical for them. I was very impressed with the first line for River Lakes when they came here and they beat the Flyers 1-0. So both of those games, and we'll talk about the Little Falls game in a second, I think they're both 1-goal games. They could be overtime games.
Let's talk about Little Falls Sartell, and it was a 1-goal game between Little Falls and Sartell back here earlier in January, and like you said, playoff time, it's probably going to be a 1-goal game, and it's really, I think, a lot of times, as I mentioned in this whole start of the talking about the playoffs, goaltending is huge, and I think that is the one advantage the Flyers do have is the goaltending.
Well, Sartell's only won 6 games this year, but they play a tough Central Lakes Conference schedule. They also had Matamidi on the schedule this year. They played War Road, Monticello, so Duluth-Denfeld. They recently played Duluth-Denfeld and lost 2-1. I saw Sartell play on Tuesday night in Alexandria. They were down 5-1, were able to come back, make it a 5-3 game, and that probably gave Sartell a little more of a boost when it came to how they were going to get seated on Wednesday morning. I think there was still some question going into Wednesday morning with Morris Benson and Sartell. Could Morris Benson pull ahead of the Sartell Sabres to get 6? It didn't happen, so Sartell falls into the slot where they come to Little Falls and play the Flyers on Tuesday night, and I don't think Coach Kucher's overly enthusiastic to have to play Ryan Hacker's Sabres in the quarters.
Well, I think one thing I've always been impressed with the Sartell program, and when I say program, I'm talking about through the youth, is they have always developed very good skaters. If you watch Sartell play, they are very fast. They've always been a fast team. They just haven't been able to get over the hump. You talked about goaltending. I do believe that I would give the edge to the Flyers with that. One thing I'm going to be curious to see, Sartell coming in here, like Jamie said, with 6 wins, let's be honest, they have nothing to lose.
Correct.
Right? So what kind of script is Hacker going to give those guys coming in here? Are they going to, they're probably not going to feel a lot of pressure.
How many breakaways are they going to have against Dane Kuchar?
Yeah.
I think we settled on they had 7 breakaways against Kuchar in that only meeting between the two teams back on January 14th, a 4-3 Flyer win. So the Little Falls Flyers are the 3 seed, but they're going to have to battle like crazy to get to the section semifinals.
Absolutely.
All right, I'm going to put you guys on the spot right here. Give me your championship teams for the section. Who's going to be in the finals on the 27th of February? And I'll start with you, Chris.
Thank you.
When you agree to a media appearance, these types of questions come your way.
Yeah. I'm going to say Cathedral will be there, right? I have no idea who's coming out of the bottom half. I'm going to say this.
All right.
I'm going to say that we're going to get 2 really good quarterfinal games, and we're going to get a very good semifinal game.
I bleed purple in my heart, but I will say Cathedral Alex will be in the finals, and I think Cathedral will be trying to defend their title. Jamie Pettit?
It's going to be St. Cloud Cathedral and the Little Falls Flyers. St. Cloud Cathedral is the #1 team in the state, the defending Class A state champions. They will be heavy favorites in the championship game, but anything can happen in a 1-game setting.
So, Jamie, I've always enjoyed picking your brain about predictions for the state tournament as well, right?
I know what you're
We
going to
know that
ask.
Cathedral has been the heavy favorite.
Yep.
We have Warroad that is
Yep.
sitting there lingering. Cathedral still has to play East Grand Forks, and you have Hermantown sitting there. The question I want to ask you is, if those 3 teams make it to the state tournament, how are 1, 2, and 3 seeded?
Well, I'm going to answer it 2 different ways. And we got a little time because they're repairing the ice. Scoreless game. We're going to start the 3rd period with the Little Falls Flyers on the power play. But I'm going to give you 2 different answers. I'm going to tell you how I think it will be and how I think it should be.
Okay.
How I think it'll be is exactly the way the Let's Play Hockey rankings have it. St. Cloud Cathedral would be 1, Hermantown 2, and Warroad 3. How do I think it should be? I think it should be Hermantown 1, Warroad 2, and St. Cloud Cathedral 3, because Warroad lost to St. Cloud Cathedral during the regular season. St. Cloud Cathedral and Hermantown tied, but Hermantown plays a brutally difficult schedule, as does St. Cloud Cathedral. But I think what Hermantown has been able to do with their schedule, they would deserve the #1 ranking.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting, right? And obviously we're just we can do this. We can sit here and
That's the
talk
beauty
about
of it,
this,
yep.
right?
I tell you what, I look at once again Derek Brown's team, and I don't think anybody is going to be able to beat him. If you look at the way they've played this year, how many times they've been behind and have come back to win, I think they have everything put together on that team. The question mark might be is the goaltending.
Yep.
That might be the only question mark with the team, but I think they can score more than the other team and win, even if their goaltending is subpar.
And one other thing to point out is people forget at the state tournament you have TV timeouts.
Yep.
So when you have those 2 top defensemen in that front line together, they can log a lot of minutes.
Absolutely.
But you know what? We'll see what happens.
I know Jamie's hoping for a championship game with Cathedral. We'll find out. And, we'd love to broadcast a game down at the MAC in the championship, too. It's been a while, Jamie, hasn't it?
Well, Matt Wimmer, the color analyst for Detroit Lakes tonight, told me that the Warroad Warriors are really good this year, and he sees Warroad coming out of Section 8. They looks like they're in a collision course with East Grand Forks in the 8A championship game, which will be played in Thief River Falls this year.
35 seconds left here on the power play as we start period number 3, as we are still scoreless. We had a 2-2 tie in the junior varsity game. They played a 5-minute overtime. Nothing could be settled there. Could we see overtime possibly in this one the way it's going, guys?
Oh, I certainly would think so.
Here's an opportunity now on the shorthanded side. Back the other way, coming across the line. This is Schwann with a shot glove save made by Dane Kuchar, and he holds on. Still 8 seconds left on the too many men on the ice penalty to the Lakers back in period number 2.
It's a too many men on the ice penalty that you really don't see too often. And a lot of times it happens if you're shuffling your lines and you end up going out for the wrong person or two people jump over the boards. But obviously there was some confusion at the Laker bench, and that's what's given the Flyers this power play.
Yep, absolutely.
Penalty time has expired. 0 for 6 on the power play tonight for the Flyers. Crossing the line here was Philippi. Played back out to center. Hayden Johnson has it now. Johnson put a shot towards the net, knocked down immediately. Shot there by Moore and fires that one well wide. Anel's unable to keep it in, and he'll have to go back and pick it up, get some help from Dane Kuchar. 2 minutes into the period, here's a give up and a quick shot on net. Bren took that shot, save made by Kuchar, and he holds on.
19th shot of the game for the Lakers.
The other thing I was going to add on our playoff conversation that I just love about section play in the state is you always have that wow factor, right, of, oh, they got beat tonight, or did you hear that this team got beat? I mean, we're sitting there watching some of those section games and you're going, how is this happening? So what section is that going to be? You know, never are all the ones going through.
No.
So it's an exciting time of the year for a hockey fan.
I'm thinking, you know what? Maybe section 4 with Johnson. You know, St. Paul Johnson.
The Dream State
I could
team.
see that.
St. Paul Johnson.
Matamita is in that one, correct?
Yep, and you
Yes.
have Gentry Academy in
No,
there, too.
Matamita's in 5.
Oh, they're
Nope.
no.
Oh, I thought you said Monticello.
No,
You're
Matamita.
correct. Yeah,
Matamita.
Matamita.
Yep.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're correct. Yep, Matamita, Gentry Academy, and St. Paul Johnson.
That might
Yes.
be my pick. That I could see them doing something.
Keep an eye on that Gentry Academy team, too. I do not believe they have a senior on their roster.
I don't
They
think
will
do.
play the Little Falls Flyers next year
Yep.
I
as
think
part
they're-
of an overnight trip to St. Paul Johnson.
I think they're mostly sophomores, aren't they, on the team?
Yeah, they'll be good next year.
Yeah, you look at section 1, you look at section 3, you look at section 5. Section 5, obviously, Monticello probably the favorite in that. And hypothetically, if let's just say Little Falls got to the state tournament, they would probably they would at least be a 5 seed. I think it's pretty guaranteed they'd be a 5 seed because 1, 3, and section 5 they've beaten everybody in section 5. They should at least get that.
Well, not only that, but they would have then probably beaten Cathedral in a section final as well, which, you know,
That would help.
You look at a team like Greenway last year who had a losing record going into the playoffs. They beat Hermantown, and they end up getting seeded. They get 4 or 5 because they beat Matamidi in the semis.
Were they a 5?
They were 4 or 5.
Yep, because they were in that 4-5 game.
I think Matamita is a vulnerable team, and I think somebody out of that section could maybe knock them off. Just kind of my prediction on that. I don't think you're going to see section 7, section 8. Those are kind of, I think, solid. You're going to have one of those top teams advancing.
Well, I wouldn't look past East Grand Forks.
Oh, no, I'm saying East Grand Forks too, but I'm just saying one of those.
In 8.
Yeah, East Grand Forks War Road would be probably the 2.
That's would be one whale of a matchup to see in Thief River Falls. Unfortunately, that's the same night as the Section 6A championship game.
Where are you going to be for that?
I'll be in St. Cloud,
You know, I think the one thing
whether I'm working or not.
that we're talking about here is the state tournament for Class A hockey will be outstanding
I
this year.
agree. I absolutely agree, and I found that to be the case with the Class A state tournament being more interesting personally than the AA state tournament the last few years.
So the question is, can the attendance grow for that, though? Because everybody goes to the AA.
They had to open up club level for the semifinals of Class A last year.
Yeah, and you know, I feel like the momentum of that started to build the year that Monticello was in the finals against Hermantown.
Yep.
Back to action here. This is Philippi with it at center ice. Still no score, as you can see on your monitor and Flyer Media Productions, channel 181, and also on YouTube. And played out to center ice. Philippi going to pick up that loose puck at neutral. Plays it back to Inez. Cycle it over on the near side. That was Hayden Johnson. Got it back over to Matt Philippi and then taken away there by Brennan. He'll play it all the way down. And Dane Kuchar going to leave it off there for Marshall Inez. Inez now over to Philippi once again. Rink-wide pass. Too strong to handle there by Moore. He does pick it up, bumped off the play just below us, and then fired off the back wall behind the netminder Hines down to the Laker end.
The game is slowing down a little bit.
It has. It's That's why we had a chance to talk for a while, because there really hasn't been much happening. And player on top of a player behind the net. Who's on the bottom there? That looked like that was Hayden Johnson, as was Bergman on top of him. Back the other way now comes Little Falls. Majorly leading the charge. Comes in on the left wing, goes into the left circle, centers a pass now to Kaczynski Halgeson, who came off the bench. Voids a check there, and the play comes back out to center, picked up by Hubbard. 12 minutes to go in this one. And we're scoreless. Coming across the line, tripped down there is Hubbard. Play continues on, and they're saying he had tried to get an Oscar out of that one, I guess, as we get an icing call here on the Lakers.
Hubbard came in, ripped down to the ice. Play continues. Lakers send it down the length of the ice. That gives the Flyers an offensive zone face-off. And with that offensive zone face-off, the top line of Gustafson, Stevens, and Hirsch comes onto the ice. Top defensive pair, Hubbard and Majorly, also on for Little Falls.
I know we've talked a lot about Class A. Class AA, though, I think it's going to be interesting because there's not a true team that's like the favorite this year. So there's a lot of opportunities for teams to advance.
You know, the season certainly started out that Eden Prairie was the heavy favorite. And you know what? They're going to be tough. There's no doubt. There's a lot of talent on that team. Myself, personally, I'm going to be rooting for Moorhead.
I had the same thought in the car the other night. Moorhead, the Spuds, runner-up 8 times.
Yep.
If they can get through 8AA, is it their year?
Yep. But, I'll tell you what, they're going to have a tough time in their own section.
Yes. St. Michael Albertville's a 2, Roseau's a 3,
yep.
St. Cloud a 4.
Yep.
You mentioned Roseau. Big battle tomorrow. Girls hockey, Roseau taking on Brainerd Little Falls in the section championship. And then on the following Tuesday, you got Brainerd taking on Roseau up in Roseau. Yeah. So it's going to be a battle of Brainerd and Roseau here the next couple of days in girls and boys hockey.
My nephew is in the Brainerd Association. He's a squirt this year. And so we kind of go back and forth a little bit with the Brainerd hockey as well.
Out at center ice, that was Buckaloo with it. Intercepted here now by Schwann. He'll dump it into the corner. And it'll be first touch here by Hayden Johnson. Gives it off there to Buckaloo. Rink-wide pass, and falling down was Philippi. Otherwise, he still gets up to it. But if he wouldn't have fallen down, he might have had a partial breakaway on that left wing side. Back the other way. Here's Bren now coming in. Left wing side, avoids the check there of Colton Johnson. Centers over to the right side. Here's a blast, taking that one wide there by Schwann. Hayden Johnson trying to clear it out of the zone. Bren now turns around, fires the shot towards the net. That one skips wide into the corner, picked up here by Moore. And we're inside to 10 minutes to go in this one. This will be cleared the length of the ice, but it was on the other side of the red line, so no icing. Played to the line, out to center ice. Lakers starting to use the body a little bit more here once again. They've started to wake up, I think, here for period number 3. Bjorgi in the corner. Bjorgi now still has it along the end wall. Bjorgi still with it. Now played over to Kaczynski Halgeson. Kaczynski Halgeson slides it over to the left point, but comes out of the zone and picked up here by Hubbard. Hubbard now feeling the forecheck that time there. Jake Green out to center. It comes. This will flip up and out of play. 9:15 to go in the third. Shots now favor the Lakers, 20-19. Flyers have not had a shot yet this period.
They have not had a shot in this period. Detroit Lakes with 3 shots on goal. Power plays, lack of power play scoring has been the story. Little Falls is 0 for 6 with the man advantage. Detroit Lakes 0 for 4 on the power play. Neither team could break through with that man advantage.
Wilder leading the Rangers 3-2. That midway through the third period.
They've been playing better as of late. I think the GM was very clear on.
Well, yeah, I
there
think
might be other pieces moving if we don't show up.
If there's no playoff appearance, I don't think there's no Bruce Boudreau next year.
It's a tough gig as an NHL head coach.
And actually, you might have to wipe out the whole staff and start over. I don't know what you do.
Mike Babcock's available.
Yeah.
He's being paid a lot of money right now by the Toronto Maple Leafs
to do nothing.
To watch the game from his couch.
That's not a bad gig either, huh?
I could take it for a while. About a 6-month break.
Maybe he needs to get an analyst role or something, right?
Well, he could.
Exactly.
Well, he's more than capable.
Absolutely.
Very entertaining.
8:15 to go. Here's it once again, Jackson Fields just doing a great job of hustling out there all night long. And once again, causing a little havoc there and trying to make something happen. Picked up here now by Hubbard in his own end. And give up here now, but luckily falling down there was Jordan Fields. If Jordan doesn't fall down, he's right in front of Dane Kuchar with a forehand shot.
I think that should have been an icing.
Hubbard back,
Looked like it.
taken away there from Bren. Bren then throws it off the back of the net. Hubbard now touched there by Buckaloo and moved ahead here by Philippi. Pass over now to Hayden Johnson. Johnson now right wing side. Johnson comes across the line, fires a shot wide of Hines. In the corner now is Wimmer with it. And skating out to center ice, this is Schwann. 7:25 to go in the game. And we're still scoreless. I thought I would be saying goal by now, at least for somebody. Here's Bren now. Turnaround shot as he tried to go on the short side. And this goes off I believe it went off of Kuchar, and it'll stay inside the zone.
Still no shots on goal for Little Falls in this period.
And it's almost 10 minutes in.
Jamie, when the Wolverines beat DL on January 30th, what was the game like? I mean, was it a little back and forth? Was it?
Wadena Deer Creek did a nice job of keeping the Lakers to the outside.
Okay.
And then they scored late in overtime, less than 10 seconds to win the game. It looked like it was going to end in a tie, and Othout got the puck between the hash marks and buried it.
Okay.
Itzen was the goaltender for Detroit Lakes.
Icing the call here on the Lakers.
I'm more impressed tonight with Detroit Lakes than I was at the end of January when Detroit Lakes played at the Wadena Ice Arena.
Sure.
Jackson Fields in particular.
Yeah,
Fields has played well.
He'd be my
Alex
player of the
Bren.
game right now.
Best player on the ice tonight.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And it might not be the most skilled, but he's got the hustle.
Yeah.
He gets the heart award.
Don't get in his way.
No, you and I'd be crushed if we got in his way.
Yeah, Dobis is in much better shape than we are. He's younger too.
Yeah, he's younger. Yeah, it's exactly. We're the old man's club now. Okay, well I am then at least. 6:45 to go in the third. And played out at center. Touch there by the Lakers. They'll have it back in their own end. This is Solberg. He'll send it over on the right side to the guy we just talked about, Fields. Take it away from him. This is Dobel. One thing about playoff hockey, too, and you guys obviously know this, is you need your seniors to step up. And that's a huge thing once you get down into playoff hockey.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you always kind of tell.
What a shot there by Fields. The save made by Kuchar. And then Kuchar was screened by his own man, Gustafson. And another shot came in, and Kuchar made the save and held on.
Jacob McAllister ripped one from the far side, and Kuchar luckily was able to make that save as he had one of his own teammates right on top of him.
But going back to the seniors, you have to have them step up. That's an important time of the year.
Yeah, you need to have them step up, and you got to have the underclassmen, in a sense, playing for them. You know, that's it for them. There's no tomorrow.
Played up to the line, out to center ice now it comes. Gunnar Gustafson had his pocket picked there that time there by Schwann. Schwann's had a pretty good third period, just throws an elbow there, though, and got away with it on Hubbard.
See if we can establish a little bit of a forecheck here.
And Jamie, still no shots for the Flyers yet here, and we've played 11-plus minutes of period number 3.
We're deep into the period, and Hines has been pretty quiet back in the Laker net.
There's a shot to score by Bren as he beat the netliner Kuchar stick side. And the zeros finally have been broken. Lakers lead 1-0.
And we'll get a chance to look at the replay as the Lakers strike first. High slot shot taken by Bren, beats Kuchar, and Detroit Lakes has a 1-0 lead.
That should be probably...
I'd be curious to see what happens here.
That could be a conduct penalty there. As Bren grabbed his jersey, looked at the Flyer bench, and said Detroit Lakes. And Kuchar wants the officials to come over as he's grabbing the jersey. That should at least be a penalty, I think. Unsportsmanlike.
Get another chance to look at it as Brent comes all the way through the neutral zone, and he almost used Joey Majerle as a screen.
Yeah, he definitely did. Great move. Just that little bit of that pull of that puck changes that angle for Dane.
I think that's what they're arguing here on the bench is the unsportsmanlike conduct.
Scoring for the Lakers, number 11, Alex Bren. Unassisted. Time of the goal, 11:20.
So an unassisted goal. There's another shot on net, and that time getting pasted to the wall is Green, but Kuchar made the save, and it's cleared the length of the ice. And maybe this is what the Flyers need to do to wake them up a little bit, Jamie.
Detroit Lakes first goal of the night, 11:25 of the third period, 16th goal of the season for Alex Bren. It was unassisted as it was Bren making his way through the neutral zone, used the Little Falls Flyer defenseman Joe Majurley as a screen, beats Kuchar, and the Lakers strike first. Flyers still don't have a shot on goal in this period.
And we're down just close to 5 minutes left to go. McAllister in the corner, had it taken away there by Buckaloo, and Buckaloo threw it over the short glass. And it's out of play, and not happy right now, Wesley Watashik, as he sends the third line out.
Be a defensive zone face-off for Little Falls. Detroit Lakes, their second line. Jordan Fields, Drew Schwann, Alex Bren. Bren, the only player to find the back of the net in this game.
Back to the high slot, knocked down here. Kaczynski Helgeson now coming in left wing side. And nice job there by Solberg to poke it away from Kaczynski Helgeson coming in on that left wing. Tripped up there now, that time was Dobel, and play continues on. Out at center ice now, this is Schwann with it, comes across the line. Nearly had his pocket picked there by Hubbard, and now it's controlled here. Well, it was briefly there by Bjorgi, and now it'll be Hubbard with it. Hubbard comes across, dumps it into the corner, got dumped in front of the Laker bench. Trying to play it in front of the net that time was Kaczynski Helgeson, and even trying to maybe play it off the back of Hines there. Puck just below us here as colliding there was Kaczynski Helgeson there and Jackson Fields, and offside on the play here are the Flyers with 4:13 to go as the Lakers have the first lead of the game, 1-0.
Well, I think you try to stay patient. You don't want to panic. There's 4 minutes and 13 seconds remaining in the third period. Shots favor the Lakers 25-19. You want to get the puck as deep as possible and try to get as many scoring opportunities as you can. And, of course, looming in the back of your mind is at some point Kuchar gets pulled for the extra attacker.
Yeah, and we'll see if they shorten the bench at all. You know, will they go to two, or does Tony like something with that third line with a matchup? We'll see.
Played back now to Inez in his own end.
You can see now DL's kind of dropping back a little bit too. They might go to more of a trap.
Stevens tried to get through a couple of players there, unable to do so. And the other thing too is, and I was just going to say
a penalty on Stevens.
I was just going to say, are the officials going to let things go? That is not the case. A penalty coming up here, and I think
a slashing minor against Nick Stevens at an inopportune time. Time of the penalty, 13:20 of the third. And for Detroit Lakes, it's power play number 5.
Question on that penalty, and for you guys, it wasn't around the net. It didn't seem like it was a scoring situation, but he was taken out. Is that a good call at this point of the game?
According to the penalty book, it's a penalty.
Well, then there should have been other penalties in the other end too. I'm just saying, if it wasn't if it's a scoring play, and that's what I was saying. Are the guys that are in the stripes going to tighten it up now and not call it unless it's a real blatant call, or are they going to call it and we just got the answer? They're going to call it still.
I think it's a valid question. You know, I think a lot of times there is that kind of that fine line between, okay, are we going to just kind of eat the whistle and let them play here on out, or are we, are they going to call something? And you're right. I mean, if it's more in the neutral zone than it was in an offensive zone. So
Ben Noah's in his first season behind the Detroit Lakers bench. He's got the Lakers over there giving him firm instructions as far as what he wants them to do in the last 3 minutes and 40 seconds. Obviously, from Detroit Lakes' perspective, you're on the power play, and the best chance you have to distance yourself from Little Falls is to be aggressive on that power play.
Yeah, if I'm Little Falls here, I'm hoping for a puck in the corner, a deflection off the glass, get it in the neutral zone, and maybe get something, coming through within these 2 minutes. But bottom line is you got to kill the penalty.
And for the Lakers, they're hoping for a win tonight. This is a huge momentum win for them if they can get it. They say, first of all, hey, we got our last win of the regular season going into the playoffs. Secondly, hey, the Flyers are ranked 10th in the state. They've been in the top 10 pretty much most of the season, so this is a great win for their program.
Well, the day didn't start out well for Detroit Lakes. They got the 5 seed behind Kitson Central. The two teams played twice during the regular season. The Lakers won the second meeting. I think it was in overtime, if I remember correctly, 2-1. So I think there are some in Detroit Lakes that probably thought, hey, we should maybe be the 4 seed. Kitson Central, the 5 seed. Didn't work out that way, so now Detroit Lakes has to go to Hallock. So again, that was the way their days started, but now it could end tonight with a win against Little Falls.
Already on the penalty kill are the Flyers. And do you have to be a little offensively here, or do you kill off this penalty because you still have 1:40 left to go in the game?
Well, I think situational, right? If they have 100% of the puck, and an opportunity, like I said, to flip it off the glass, and maybe you can get one of the forwards coming out, but like I said, first of all, you got to take care of the penalty. So,
and really a goal here by the Lakers, and I think that might be the nail in the coffin here. So you definitely have to keep the puck out of the net to give yourself a chance just for one shot to tie it up. So 1:30 left here on the power play. 3:08 to go in the game. Lakers lead by a score of 1-0. Brent sent that one all the way through. It's rolling, and just catching up to it there before it crossed the goal line extended was Burnside. Otherwise, that might have been an icing call.
And if you're DL here, you want to at least guarantee yourself possession of the puck. If you're having possession of the puck, the clock is your friend.
That's
right now.
The clock keeps ticking.
Fields down below. That was Burnside. Gets it now over to Bren. Just kind of going around the perimeter with it right now. Benson over now to Wimmer. Wimmer's going to play it down to the corner, and they're not really looking for any offense here. They're just kind of killing some time. As we're down to 2:30 to go, 50 seconds left here on the Stevens penalty. Back in their own end is Benson taking some time. He'll leave it off there now. Justison now will skate it up on the left side. Touch there by Wimmer. Wimmer then had it intercepted there. Back the other way come the Flyers now. And a big hit below us here is flailing and going to the bench is the player that is Bainey. Flyers now in the shorthanded attempt opportunity here. Still 19 seconds left on the power play. Inside of 2 minutes to go here in the game. This is Justison with it. He'll play it over on the right side to Fields. Jackson Fields comes across the Flyer line. Takes a tumble there. Final seconds of the power play are over, and now it is 5-on-5 hockey here with 1:35, and now the question is when maybe Dane Kuchar comes out.
Yep, we'll see here.
Next chance the Flyers possess it in the Lakers zone.
Lakers have it in their own end. Bottled up there, intercepted by Stevens. He was in the box for a couple of minutes, so he should be pretty fresh. Dane's now between the circles, and it'll be controlled here by the Lakers out to center. Jordan Fields gets it over to Jackson Field. Jackson Fields now comes in, backhand attempt, trying to get it back to Jordan. Intercepted there by Majorly, and it can't clear it out of the zone. As it's played in deep once again by Jordan Fields, and we're down to the final minute of this one with the Lakers leading 1-0. Here's Gustafson now coming out. Here comes Dane Kuchar to the bench. The sixth attacker is coming on, that being Philippi. So 6-on-5 hockey now for the last 45 seconds of this one. Matt Philippi has it in the corner. Philippi centers a pass out in front, just on the backhand though to Stevens there. Play to the right point now. This will be Majorly getting it down low. On the tape here of Stevens. Stevens back to the right point to Majorly. Now to the left side there to Hubbard. Back over to Stevens. The one-timer knocked down. Played to the boards, not out of the zone yet. Philippi slides it over and it comes out to center. And the Flyers are going to have to touch up with 20 seconds left. Now they'll dump it in, and they'll have to get possession here down to the final 15 seconds along the end wall. Philippi trying to get it back over to Stevens. Intercepted there that time by Wimmer. Now picked up by Philippi, trying to send it across. 6 seconds left. Now Majorly trying to find some place to shoot. Sends it towards the net. 1 second, and the Lakers come out with a 1-0 win, as that will go into an empty net, but after the zeros are on the board. And the Lakers are excited for win number 14 as they win 1-0.
They had 3 opportunities there, I felt like, with possession of the puck to get one to the net, and it just didn't happen.
And guys, let's hopefully this is not a precursor to what we're going to see coming up on Tuesday, because the Flyers have been in these positions in the playoffs the last 3 years and have had their season end right here on their home ice.
Well, if you're going to cough one up,
cough it now.
In a one-goal fashion, tonight's the night to do it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So a 1-0 win for the Detroit Lakers over the Little Falls Flyers, and the regular season comes to an end for both teams. And as we were talking, a great momentum builder here for the Lakers. And the Flyers, you got to shake your head. You look at the score sheet and you look at the score board, you look at the shots on goal, 0 shots on goal in the third period for the Flyers.
What did they have, Jamie? Did they have the Flyers had, 11 shots in the first period?
11 in the first, 8 in the second, none in the third, according to the scoreboard. Detroit Lakes, 6 in the first, 11 in the second, 9 in the third.
Yeah, so 8 shots in 34 minutes.
So once again, your final score in this one is Detroit Lakes 1 and Little Falls 0.
Little Falls had scored 132 goals in 24 games, and they are shut out tonight 1-0 by Detroit Lakes. Of course, they were shut out earlier in this season by River Lakes 1-0 here at the Exchange Arena. So there are nights where no matter what you do, how hard you try in the offensive zone, you just can't get it to click.
Right.
We're going to have the post-game show coming up here in just a moment. Head coach Tony Kuchar, I believe, is starting to make his way this way, so we'll get a chance to talk to him. He's actually coming up the ladder right now. And, of course, not the way you want to end senior night, unfortunately, but at least, as we mentioned, this was in the regular season and not the end of the season. Head coach Tony Kuchar joining us now. And Head Coach Tony, thanks so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
And obviously, we're glad that there is still a tomorrow, but that tomorrow could end if you don't win on Tuesday.
Absolutely.
A 1-0 loss tonight. And Coach, your comments.
Not good. I mean, I don't really have a lot of positive comments, so it just was not a good game for us right from the start. I think I either told you or their radio announcer, if we can't get it going through the neutral zone at the beginning of the game, we weren't going to be very good, and that was held true to what it was all about. We couldn't catch passes. There was no urgency. We did not play like a team that wanted to even play tonight, so that was very disappointing. And you know, what do? They obviously came to play and wanted to play. I was very disappointed with our effort.
Do you feel this almost had a little bit of shades of the River Lakes kind of game?
Absolutely. Yeah, we just we had I don't think we got a shot on net third period.
According to the scoreboard, you did not.
Yeah, so there, they came down and screened. It looked like a screenshot from a high slot, and that's just the way it goes. And unfortunately, we have a lesson to be learned here, and if we can learn from it, then it'll be a positive on Tuesday. If we can't, then I'll be up here talking about the seniors and not going to St. Cloud very fast. But
your power play's been razor sharp all season. You're 0 for 6 tonight.
Yeah, it was dull tonight. It was, it was all individual, and even like on our 5-on-3, we have a set process. We were taking shots from places where we're not supposed to take shots. Again, I'm a little emotional because it was not a good night for us, but it was. You saw a team that wanted to fight, and I just don't think that we have some of the kids that want to be.
Let's ask about the physicality. Detroit Lakes really was, and that's what they're known for in Section 8, physicalness.
Yeah, first 10 minutes of the game they pounded us, and we kind of ran scared after that a little bit. So that's just the way it goes. I mean, we gotta fight through those, right through those things, and again. We're not sitting here at the end of the season. We have a couple days to regroup, but we were very good in practice for 3 days. I mean, I was very excited about what was going to happen tonight, and it was the total opposite of what I thought was going to happen.
One thing I guess I'm kind of curious about, and maybe we got the answer tonight, is there was no school. You don't know. There was not a routine tonight of what was happening.
Yeah, but still, everybody.
I understand that.
Yeah, so.
Not making excuses, but I'm just saying sometimes.
I would never think that would, everybody gets prepared differently. we could have got them up in the morning and going, and maybe that's what we should have done. But when they're juniors and seniors and sophomores, you would think that they would get up and they would take care of themselves. And I know a lot of them went over to a house and did some things and whatnot, and that's what they usually do on a game day. So, they wanted it, we didn't. They scored, we didn't get a shot on net. So, I mean, yeah.
I think you mentioned it right away. Systematically, I felt like Detroit Lakes had a plan to almost run like a light trap.
Yeah, after a while
from the D zone to the neutral zone.
Yeah.
And it seemed like in the second period there was a few chances where Reese was able to get the puck at least to the dot. But at first, anytime a D pass was going to a wing, they were right there to intercept
absolutely. And we started to tell them after that just to kind of dump the puck so we could get, but when you dump the puck and you don't work hard to get it, then it doesn't work.
Line combinations. I know you've shuffled the line combinations a little bit.
Yeah.
It's still up for grabs.
Yeah.
Maybe some changes.
Yeah, maybe so. We'll have to see. I think that Sartell, all their lines are pretty even. They got the Walters kid out. He's their best forward. So we'll have to kind of watch some film, go back and look at what they did against us. And go from there. Obviously their coach is here watching us. Obviously they, it's a tough thing to watch.
It was breakaway central last time against Sartell. I think they had at least 7 breakaways. You beat them by a goal 4-3.
Yeah, we're hoping that we can kind of counter that. And again, I like to comment about the River Lakes. I mean, that's exactly what the neutral zone looked like every time that we've lost against River Lakes or they just very tough, and we had when we did go through the neutral zone, we weren't making tape-to-tape stride passes where we could go and beat their guys. And I think it more came down to effort and attitude. So
that's the one thing that's tough for you if you don't get the effort that you need.
Yeah, I just think that I don't know. I just think that they need to be a little more grittier and a little more. I'm not sure what they thought was going to happen tonight. So
a little more sandpaper.
A little more 90 grit sandpaper.
There we go.
We were pretty smooth paper.
Maybe you should get some sandpaper for them and then bring it in, and this is what we need to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Something, I don't know.
Visual aid.
Yeah.
Well, it's not Tuesday night.
Yeah, it isn't. So
Absolutely.
we do have an effort, and maybe they've learned something, but I don't know.
Coach, as always, thanks so much for coming up, win or lose. We always love to have you come up.
Senior night upstairs, so we got one positive thing that we have a good group of seniors that have worked fairly hard over the years, and now it's time for them to celebrate tonight and move on with it.
All right, Coach, we'll see you on Tuesday.
You bet. Thank you.
Once again, that is the head coach of the Little Falls Flyers. That is Tony Kuchar. Our final score in this one, once again, 1-0 as Detroit Lakes defeats the Little Falls Flyers. You want to give a quick recap of that?
Scoreless after 1, scoreless after 2, only 1 goal in the third period. It's the game-winning goal at 11:25 for the Detroit Lakes Lakers. And right on cue, here it is. It's Alex Bren through the neutral zone, uses Joe Majurli as a screen, beats Dane Kuchar. And Detroit Lakes, their only goal tonight, 16th of the season for Alex Bren. And that's a crafty forward, Chris Dobis, to use that defenseman as a screen.
Yeah, just like I said, that slight toe pull there changes the whole angle for Dane to see that. And I mean, I'm not behind the net, but I'm guessing that there was a little bit of that puck lost as it was being shot on net.
That was the 16th goal of the season for Alex Bren. He's the leading scorer for the Detroit Lakes Lakers, and it's the game-winning goal tonight. Shots on goal in the third period, just 9 for Detroit Lakes, 0 for the Little Falls Flyers. Tonight, the Lakers had the shots on goal advantage, 26-19. Dane Kuchar, in a losing effort for the Little Falls Flyers, was 25 of 26. The shutout for the junior Jack Hines, he was 19 of 19. There were 11 minor penalties in the game. 5 against Little Falls, 6 to Detroit Lakes. Little Falls 0 for 6 on the power play. The Lakers 0 for 5 with the man advantage. With the win, with the 1-0 win, Detroit Lakes improves to 14-9-2. Little Falls, their regular season concludes 18 wins, 6 losses, and a tie. Detroit Lakes, their next game a week from tonight, Section 8A quarterfinals. They're the 5 seed. They'll play the 4 seed in Hallock Kitson Central. Little Falls, they're the 3 seed in Section 6A. They will host number 6 Sartell on Tuesday night.
We've seen the Flyers in the past have some tough end of the season games, and it hasn't been the end of the postseason for them. They've bounced back, and obviously Tuesday is going to have to be a bounce-back game.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they'll have practice tomorrow and Saturday, I would guess they're going to skate, and then they'll have Monday. So 3 important practices to try and gain some momentum. I think right now you forget about this, and you have to now say, okay, we play the Sabres on Tuesday night. You start looking at that film, you start thinking about that game plan, and try and erase that as much as you can. Both of you have brought up the power play a little bit tonight, that, over 30%. Oftentimes you'll look at situational power plays more than anything else in games, right? And when you have a 0-0 game and you have the opportunity to do that, that's a playoff type thing. You look to that to score a power play goal in the playoffs. If you look across the board, if you play strong special teams in the playoffs, you're going to win some games. So it'll be interesting to see if there's any adjustments. You brought up the lines, will he shake something up? I don't know. I think the one thing that they can fall back on is when they have played good hockey, when they've brought their intensity, they've been really good. But we have seen this team every once in a while have the slip-ups, the Mountain West Tonka game, the River Lakes game, this game.
The Alexandria game.
The Alexandria game.
And that's a scary thing, because if you look at the last 3 games, they've been shut out 2 of 3 games now. Sure. And that's something that I'm a little bit concerned about, is the offense. Yes, they had 8 points against Sauk Rapids, but Sauk Rapids isn't the caliber of a team like Alex, or even, I think, Detroit Lakes.
Detroit Lakes has now won 9 of their last 10 games, and in those 10 games, they've only allowed 10 goals. So they've been very, very stingy on the defensive end of the ice.
I'd be curious to ask their coach the question of, have you changed? Because it looked tonight, it was very obvious to me. They sent 1 guy in. They had 2. Their wingers were kind of hanging out by the dots. They were forcing the defensemen to skate the puck, and our defensemen were choosing to pass the puck. And it continued through the neutral zone as well.
Well, and not trying to give Ryan Hacker any help here, but if Ryan Hacker wants to look at this game and the River Lakes game, that's how I would set up my play coming up on Tuesday night for your chance to beat the Flyers here at home.
Can you name the other team that has done that in the past to the Flyers?
That has tried to trap them in the neutral zone, try to keep them bottled up.
Yeah.
Fergus Falls Otters.
Princeton.
Oh, Princeton.
Yeah.
Yep. Princeton.
But they were able to break through that in the 3rd period in Princeton this year.
Just in years past. I didn't see that game this year.
But you're right. They kind of did the same setup down in Princeton here earlier, than Jamie and I had a chance to go down to that game. But that did seem that the same way. I do agree with that. So that is kind of the way to stop this team right now. And, Dane can do as much as he can, but he's got to get some points. He can't score goals, even though he does have 1 this year. So, well, I guess we'll wait and see. I guess the good thing about this whole thing, and it's funny because about, 2.5 hours ago, we started the broadcast and said, well, this is kind of a meaningless game. But actually, in reality, it's probably a very important game, because you got to figure out what you got to work on to get into the playoffs here now.
Well, fortunate the game was able to be played. There was no school in Little Falls today. It did get the game in. If it wasn't played tonight, there was a possibility it would be played Saturday. I think that was probably unlikely. So both teams got a good playoff warm-up for what they have ahead. Detroit Lakes, of course, in the ultra-tough Section 8. Little Falls in Section 6 with the defending Class A state champion, St. Cloud Cathedral. But all focused right now for the Little Falls Flyers is on Tuesday night. Tony Kuchar mentioned it more than once this season, and he particularly brought it up again tonight in the pregame interview about the Little Falls Flyers. They want to make it to the section semifinals. They want to play at the MAC on Saturday, February 22nd. They get the home game against Sartell Tuesday night, but there are no guarantees.
Yeah, that's what's exciting about playoff hockey. There are no guarantees, and you try and play it shift by shift. And let's see how the first 5 minutes of that game go on Tuesday night. You need something to get it to kind of break this.
Right. And getting on the board right away would be huge. It would be huge.
And they did score right away against Sartell.
They did.
2 goals, right?
Yep.
The first time they played them.
It's hard to believe, as you mentioned, get to the MAC. None of these kids have ever experienced the MAC. when we say that, the semifinals on this team. There's not one kid. This is the first time in a long time that there hasn't been one kid that's seen the MAC, at least, in many years.
It's a nice setting. You've got 2 semifinal games, same site. First game starts at 4, second game scheduled to start at 7 o'clock. So as a fan, you can go watch both games. If you're a participating team, you play in that early game, you win, you stick around, you watch the second game, and that's exactly the way it should be, to have both semifinals at the same site, and with the winners advancing to the section championship game the following week on a Thursday.
All right, I suppose we got to wrap things up here. It's that time. It's almost 10 o'clock.
You did a nice job, Mr. Dobis.
Thank you.
We thoroughly enjoyed having you on the telecast tonight, and I had no doubt that you would provide expert commentary throughout the game, and you did just that.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a different side of it. You know, my wife will often ask me this year, you know, do you miss being behind the bench? And I'm happy with where I'm at right now.
Absolutely.
Things have been simplified for my wife and kids, and I enjoyed my time coaching the high school team. But I look forward now to coaching my son's team as he gets older, and there's other things to look forward to now. So.
Boy, he looked good tonight in between the first and second period.
You know, he just loves hockey. It's funny today when my wife mentioned that he was going to skate, he was practicing the national anthem at home. So he had his helmet over here, his stick
and
over here.
of course, that's done in Little Falls.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So thanks for joining us, Chris. Want to say a special thanks back once again in the truck there to Austin Moore. He's our graphics and instant replay guy. He's a senior, too, for senior night here, so great job all season long. And Mark Deal, of course, the advisor, and the camera operators tonight, once again, Owen Swisher, Caden Olson, and Carter Waltman. And once again, we still have more hockey coming your way on Tuesday night. We'll be back here at the Exchange Arena, not only on Flyer Media Productions, but also on Q92 and also streaming online at fallsradio.com for radio. That is a 7 o'clock start. Our pregame coverage will get underway on the radio at 6:30 and pretty much, I'm sure, on television, too. Any final comments of this one, Mr. Pettit?
Well, I look forward to the playoffs. It hasn't been good for the Little Falls Flyers in the quarterfinals the last 3 years. Can that change
Right. Yeah.
on Tuesday night?
Yep.
We'll find out.
Absolutely. State champ for Class A this year is going to be?
Hermantown.
Okay.
All right. There you heard it.
Well, come on. Throw it out there. No one's going to rewind it and watch it.
I'm going to say Warroad is going to have a tough time getting past East Grand Forks. But if Warroad can get their TV timeouts, it's going to be interesting to see what that semifinal matchup is of those 3 teams. If all 3 of those teams get through, what will the semifinal game be? And will that team have enough against if Hermantown is the 1 seed?
This is great. Hermantown,
Yep.
Warroad, Cathedral.
Okay. We're all on a different horse.
We're all on our own island. Let's see which one's still
Because we
standing.
probably have no idea what we're talking about, right?
Could be monumental upsets
Absolutely.
in the section finals or section semifinals, and we're all wrong. But
Yep.
like I said, it's not like anyone's going to rewind this and take a look at who we picked.
Oh, I'm sure tomorrow morning there's going to be plenty of texts on Dobis's.
You already wrote it down.
Yes, I did. I've got it written down. I chiseled it in a stone tablet.
Once again, 7 o'clock Tuesday night, Exchange Arena. If you can't make it here, Flyer Media Productions, channel 181 YouTube, also on radio on Q92, streaming online at fallsradio.com. Final score tonight in this one, 1-0. Detroit Lakes kind of makes it a sour note in senior night against the Flyers, but the Flyers back in action on Tuesday.
Great job by our Flyer Media
Absolutely.
Productions crew.
Absolutely. For our production crew behind the scenes, for Chris Dobis, for Jamie Pettit, I'm James Hershey. We will see you on Tuesday night here at the Exchange Arena. Good night, everyone.